Senan mainland, home to immortal cultivators who strut around like they own the place while mortals break their backs just trying to survive. Naturally, the mortals spend their lives chasing immortality, because who wouldn't want to trade hauling water buckets for hurling fireballs around? Puffing young man barely dragging himself up a mountain trail, he pauses to catch his breath, grumbling, my mom thinks climbing this mountain to cultivate immortality is my golden ticket to finding a wife, but let me tell you, it's not exactly a dating app up here. I've been wandering for hours and all I've gained is sore legs and zero help. In his hand he clutches a flyer that reads, spend every coin you own, buy a cake, or join the Divine Immortal Sect. He stares at the paper like it personally insulted him. This is the last stop, he mutters before looking up at a crumbling shack ahead. This is the Divine Immortal Sect. Are they cultivating immortality, or termites in their sweat? Drips down his face as he sizes up the sad little structure. Nope, this is definitely a scam. Tossing the flyer to the ground he huffs, forget it, I'm going home to nap. This was a colossal weight. Don't leave. Before he can take another step, a hand grabs his leg. The young man jumps shrieking like a banshee. Out of nowhere a bedraggled figure emerges, clinging to him like his life depends on it. Who the hell are you? Pork Bun shouts, trying to shake the guy off. The man beams up at him with a grin too confident for someone who looks like he lost a fight with a bush eye. He announces grandly, I'm Wang Fong, the master of the Divine Immortal Sect. Pork Bun stares at him deadpan. Master of what exactly? Trash collection. Wang Fong brushes off the insult like it's a compliment. 3 days ago I was just a humble comic book author, but after one too many all-nighters writing about immortals, the king of hell himself decided to give me a free upgrade. Next thing I know, my soul gets yanked into this world of cultivators, and oh, I arrived naked. Completely naked. Wang Fong recounts his entrance into the immortal realm with the enthusiasm of a man telling his worst life decision. There I was, falling from the sky like a meteor, and just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I collided head first with some old guy flying on a sword. Pretty sure I gave him a concussion. That was just the beginning. Moments after crash landing, the system appeared before me. The system, yes, a divine system sent to guide me to greatness, or so I thought. Wang Fong's smile falters as he remembers the truth. Turns out it's a bargain bin system. No spiritual energy, no magical weapons, no skills, just one lousy task: recruit a disciple in 3 days or get hunted down and erased from existence. Pork Bun squints at him. You've got 3 days to rope in a sucker and you think I'm the guy? Wang Fong claps his hands, ignoring the insult. Exactly, I saw you and I knew immediately you're the chosen one. Your bone structure is unparalleled, your potential unmatched. Pork Bun takes a step back, his face twisting in disgust. Chosen one, bone structure? You're making me sound like livestock. He points at the dilapidated shack. And this so-called sect of yours, it's a dump. You look like you crawled out of a compost heap. Who'd fall for the scam? Wang Fong doesn't miss a beat. But looks can be deceiving. Young man, grand sects with towering temples, they'd take one glance at you and laugh you out the door. But me, I see potential. Pork Bun throws up his hands. You mean potential to get scammed? Blind. Wang Fong sidles up to him, throwing an arm around his shoulder. Now think about it. Who else would offer you a chance like this? Other sects want perfection. I want you. That's called vision. Pork Bun rolls his eyes, muttering like desperation. And thus begins the most unlikely partnership in the history of immortal cultivation, or the fastest way to end up broken, regretting life choices. Wang Fong had to admit, for a chubby guy, the kid was surprisingly emotional. As soon as Wang Fong praised his so-called extraordinary abilities, the young man's eyes went misty and his voice cracked. Can I really cultivate immortality? Can I become a deity? Wang Fong, ever the con artist, I mean visionary sect master, immediately whipped out a flyer like he was selling snake oil. Do you know why our sect is called the Divine Immortal Sect? Because the name says it all. Join us and you'll be a deity in no time. At that moment the young man's mind wandered off into a vivid daydream. He saw himself lounging on a mountain of gold, saving damsels in distress and marrying the most beautiful wife in all the land. Drooling at the thought, he fumbled with his money bag and held it out, trembling with excitement. Is it true? Will I really become a deity? Wang Fang's eyes lit up like lanterns at the sight of the money. His hand shot out faster than a lightning strike. That's right, darling, he said, already mentally spending the cash. The chubby young man hesitated for a moment, pulling the bag slightly back. But what if I don't become an immortal? Wang Fong slapped on his most sincere smile, which was about as trustworthy as a street magician. Don't worry, a 100% guarantee. If you fail, I'll refund your money, find you another sect, and hey, I'll even throw in good wife. The young man squinted at him, half believing and half doubting. You're serious as the sky is blue? Wang Fong beamed, though his inner monologue was less charitable. This kid actually believes this nonsense. He's either my first disciple or my personal curse. The young man pondered for a moment, then said, fine, but I have conditions. I can't diet or do hard training. I need meat and fish every meal. My clothes must be washed by someone else, and if I'm tired I'm taking a nap. Wang Fong froze for a second, forcing a grin. Of course, small matters for a grand sect like ours. Meanwhile, inside he was screaming, is this a disciple or an ancestor? If it weren't for this damn system threatening to wipe me out, I'd have sent you straight to your forefathers by now. The money bag dropped into Wang Fong's palm and a system notification chimed in like a game-winning jackpot. Congratulations, host, unsuccessfully recruiting your first disciple. The strongest sect system is now activated. Please check your rewards. Wang Fong barely contained his excitement. Rewards, he muttered hurriedly, opening the system panel, but before he could even glance at it, the chubby disciple launched himself at him in a bear hug. Sect Master, you're amazing. Not only did you accept me, but you're treating me so well. Even my family doesn't spoil me like this. Can I call you brother? Wang Fong, from now on, brother. My head. Wang Fong shoved him away. Don't disturb me. I checking the rewards. The young man pouted, fine, but I'm starving. When's my welcome feast? Wang Fong rubbed his temples, muttering, I'll make something now. All while planning his escape outside the dilapidated house, he finally opened the system panel. In peace, host. Wang Fong, cultivation none, physique none, lineage none, WFO. Groaned, great, I'm the immortal equivalent of a broken broomstick. SA divine immortal. Sect disciples 1 Luing rewards 1 summoning opportunity 1 price chance. The system elaborated. The summoning opportunity allows the host to summon a celestial realm powerhouse who will join the sect and assist in teaching disciples. Wang Fo perked up. A celestial realm powerhouse. Finally some actual help. He closed his eyes, recalling his pitiful first 3 days in Senan mainland. Day 1, wandering alone in the cold. Day 2, gift a house barely standing on its own. Day 3, curled up in despair, wishing he could return home. System, he shouted dramatically, thrusting his hand toward the panel, summon the strongest champion you've got. The air crackled and a portal opened. Wang Fong's shack lit up like a fireworks display. A pair of feet emerged, descending from the swirling vortex of light. Please, Wang Fong whispered, staring at the portal, don't let this one be another idiot. As Line lay outside the decrepit house, lazily swatting at butterflies like an overgrown child, the sudden beam of light from the heavens sent him flying backward. Mom, is there an earthquake? He screamed, flailing in the dirt like a turtle on its back. The ground trembled, the sky darkened, and Lean's survival instincts kicked in, though admittedly they weren't very good. Help, something's falling from the sky. Somebody called the immortal fire department. The light engulfed Wang Fong's dilapidated shack, which miraculously remained completely intact. Terrified and now curious, Line scrambled to his feet and bolted toward the glowing house. What in the world is going on? That thing should have been reduced to splinters. Bursting through the door like a panicked bull, he found Wang casually sipping tea, looking utterly unbothered, as if he weren't sitting in the epicenter of a cosmic event. Line dashed over, and in his haste managed to spill the entire cup of tea onto Wang Fong's face. Sect Master, what's happening? Wiping the tea off with the grace of a man used to disappointments, Wang Fong glared at him. What's happening? Is you just ruined my tea. Can I not have one moment of peace around here? Line, wide-eyed and trembling, pointed to the door. Forget the tea, the sun's gone. The sun, sighing dramatically. Wang Fong followed Luchin's gaze. Outside, the silhouette of a man descended through the torrent of spiritual energy, enveloped in a blinding light. His every step seemed to quake the ground. His presence almost suffocating. Lian screamed in pure terror, an immortal, no, a monster. The end is near. Wang Fong slapped him on the back of the head. Monster, that's why Guang, the protector of our sect. Line blinked, dumbfounded. Protector? Since when do we have one of those? And what realm is he in? Is he mid-spirit realm, profound realm? Wang Fong scratched his chin, figging deep thought. He's in the nobility peak realm. Line jaw dropped so hard it practically hit the floor. And nobility peak? Sect Master, are you speaking the human language? The nobility realm is practically god-tier. People like him are the strongest in the empire. Watching Lean's frog-likey face contorted in shock, Wang Fong chuckled inwardly. This guy's reaction is gold. I've worried for nothing. Strong is strong no matter where you are. The blowing figure stepped forward and bowed deeply to Wang Fong. Igu Chang greets the sect master. Wang Fong, basking in the moment, waved his hand magnanimously. Ye elder, no need for such formalities. Let's keep things casual. Line stood frozen, his brain short Circuiting I've seen pigs climb trees he muttered, but I've never seen someone in the nobility realm bowing to anyone. What kind of divine being is my SE master? Meanwhile Wang Fong, struggling to maintain his facade of C, was silently sweating. This martial world dialogue is exhausting. Let this idiot handle it from now on. Turning to Lin with a smirk he said, Lin, pay your respects to Elder Yi. Lin scrambled to his knees, bowing so low he could have kissed the floor. Disciple Lin greets he elder. Watching his newfound disciple grovel, Wang Fong allowed himself a moment of smug satisfaction. See, once they know you're strong they fall in line with Lin. Sufficiently humbled, Wang Fong turned his attention back to the system. So system, he asked, what's this price draw opportunity about? The system's panel lit up like a slot machine. The price draw allows the host to win items such as a celestial bloodline, advanced cultivation techniques, or physical summoning of a strong ally. Rewards can be used by the host or sect disciples. Wang Fong's eyes sparkled with greedy joy. Wait, so you're telling me I can win something that will actually make me immortal? Jackpot. System, let me draw right now. The system didn't hesitate. A wheel of fortune spun wildly on the screen before slowing down, stopping on the image of none other than Igu Chang. Congratulations host, you have drawn Igu Chang 100% cultivation. Wang Fong stared at the reward orb, a whirlwind of thoughts brewing in his head as the sect master, a humble mortal. Why on earth would I let some clueless disciple use this instead of boosting my own cultivation priorities? People, he turned to the system panel, his curiosity piqued. System, if I absorb 100% of Igu Chang's cultivation, how much can I level up? Host will advance to the early stage of the entry phase realm. The system responded, completely devoid of enthusiasm. Wang Fong squinted at the screen, scratching his head. System, can you speak in plain human language for once? Entry phase realm, what does that even mean? Wait, Lian, he spun around dramatically, startling his disciple. Do you know how cultivation realms are divided? Wang Fong asked, feigning ignorance. Lin straightened up, puffing out his chest like an over-rager student about to recite from memory. Of course, Sect Master, cultivating immortals is divided into 10 major realms: Foundation, Establishment, Profound, Vain, Medium, Spirit, Profound, General, Entry Phase, Nobility, Profound, Sovereign, Profound, Venerable, Profound, Saint, and Profound Emperor. He rattled off the list with the speed of someone who practiced it in the mirror 100 times. Wang Fong nodded slowly, pretending to process this revelation. So entry phases, fifth, smack in the middle. Not impressive but not embarrassing either. He crossed his arms deep and thought, still starting from scratch though. This system is the real scam artist here. With a resigned sigh he shoved the glowing orb into his chest and yelled, system upgrade cultivation. A sudden surge of spiritual energy erupted surrounding Wang Fong in a dazzling display of light. His frail figure transformed, his vitality and power coursed through him, muscles bulged, his aura became overwhelming, and his tattered robes didn't survive the transformation, leaving him standing dramatically in his ripped outfit. Lin, wide-eyed and slack-jawed, gasped audibly, Sect Master, your body, it's monstrous. The Sect Master is truly divine. Wang Fong caught his disciple gawking, and immediately started brainstorming excuses. Great, now I need to spin this into something inspirational. He cleared his throat. This, my dear disciple, is merely a demonstration of what's possible with diligence and discipline. If you train hard for just 1 year, you too could achieve the entry phase realm. Lin's face lit up with a mix of awe and despair. 1 year, Sect Master, that's impossible. Reaching the entry phase realm takes a lifetime unless you're a top-tier genius. Overcome with emotion, Lin threw himself at Wang Fong's legs, sobbing uncontrollably. The heavens must have smiled upon me to bless me with such a miraculous Sect Master. I swear I'll train diligently and never waste your kindness. Watching his disciple grabble and cry, Wang Fong felt a pang of guilt. Yeah, let's not mention this was all a lucky draw, he thought, fainting enlightenment. He spread his arms wide, tilted his head to the sky, and murmured, ah, so this is what it feels like to step into the entry phase realm. He closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. I can hear the water droplets falling, flowers blooming, wings flapping. Before he could finish basking in his self-created glory, a shadow crossed the sky, followed by a loud squawk. Wang Fong opened his eyes just in time to see a bird plummet to the ground, flailing as though it had been stomped mid-flight. What the descending rapidly, a young woman with a face darkened by fury landed with all the grace of a wrecking ball. Her foot struck the bird again for good measure before she turned her annoyed gaze toward Wangong. Wangong arched a Brow then turned to Igu Chang. Ye elder, why don't you handle this? Let's see if she's here for tea or trouble. Igu Chang stepped forward, his sword glowing faintly with a white aura as he planted it firmly in the ground. His expression was stoic, his voice hoarse. May I ask, friend, where you hail from? Before the woman could respond, the ground beneath Yuk Chang rumbled ominously. A whirlwind erupted, knocking his sword skyward, and sending him tumbling like a ragged doll. Ye elder, Lien shrieked. The whirlwind grew stronger, tearing through the surrounding area and sweeping up a stack of Wang Fang's Divine Immortal Sect recruitment flyers. The three of them stared helplessly as the papers were flung into the sky, scattering like desperate confetti. My flyers, Wang Fun groaned, clutching his head. The woman remained unfazed, her expression as sulky as before. The girl from earlier fell out of the vortex. She gaped, frowning as she stared ahead. Immediately after, the poor bird was again stepped on by her wicked foot. Is your back a temple or what? Stepping on it like that, she used all her strength to kick the bird, then slowly descended. She shot a piercing, staring intently ahead as she landed. Suddenly a flyer fell right in front of her. Startled, she quickly drew the sword from her waist. Without the slightest hesitation, she swung at the flyer with a deadly strike. Igu Chang's expression darkened upon seeing this, gripping his sword tightly. He growled, "Don't destroy the items of our sect." As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately drew his sword. The blade emitted a blinding light. Igu Chang raised his sword behind his neck, showcasing its dazzling brightness. A wave of spiritual energy wrapped around the blade of Igu Chang's sword. Then he unleashed a stream of sword chi forward with an icy expression. The air flow released from his sword directly attacked the piece of paper. At the same time, the paper accidentally got hit right in front of that girl. In the blink of an eye, the paper had fallen straight onto the girl's face, causing her to blink in surprise. Not only that, the paper was sticking increasingly tightly to her face. In a panic, she tightly embraced the paper, losing her balance and falling from above. The girl hit the ground, creating an explosion right in front of Wai Fon. Seeing this, he pointed ahead and said in confusion, with this way of greeting from Igu Chang, if someone is a friend it might just turn into an enemy line. Why don't you go greet her? At that moment the mist gradually dissipated and the girl appeared flattened on the ground, her body covered in injuries, still holding tightly to the paper on her face. Line timidly approached and said, "Miss Fairy, are you all right?" Meanwhile Igu Chang had sheathed his sword. Then he turned to glare sharply behind him. That was also when the paper on the girl's face was unsealed and she pulled it down. Staring blankly as she looked over, Line opened her eyes wide in fear upon seeing that face, sweating. "It has nothing to do with me, Mom." Boo-hoo-hoo. The younger sister gritted her teeth in anger, then slammed her hand down hard on the ground with a dark expression, her whole body filled with evil energy. Who littered? Seeing this, Line panicked, tears streaming down her cheeks, and ran away with her legs curled up to her neck. Hearing her sister's words, Wang Fon chuckled. "This is not trash. What you're holding is a flyer from our Divine Immortal Sect." The younger sister, upon hearing this, unfolded the paper, furrowed her brow and stared wide-eyed. A flyer. After looking at it for a moment, she raised her head, her eyes wide in confusion. "Is this the Divine Immortal Sect? What else could it be? I am the sect master of the Divine Immortal Sect." From the flyer, "My name is Wang Fang." As soon as he finished speaking, the system suddenly appeared with a notification, "You have a new message. Congratulations, host. You have found a genius. The new mission is to recruit 10 disciples and the reward will be 10 summoning chances and 10 price chances." Reading this, Wang Fang's eyes lit up, thinking, 10 summoning chances, 10 price chances. Is it true? Just after acquiring a counterfeit item, Line managed to exchange it for the powerful Sortie Gang in Cultivation Entry Phase Realm. If this time he can obtain a genius as a disciple, wouldn't that mean he could soar? But how can that be achieved? Never mind, if I can't think of it, I can still save a dead horse and turn it into Ave-1. So the young man spread his arms wide, looked at the girl with enthusiasm and said, "Young lady, I am very impressed with your bones. You must be a cultivation genius." Line, who was sitting next to him, heard this and thought, "This line sounds familiar." The young man then got upset, grabbed a stack of flyers, stood up, and glared at Wang Fon. "Sect master, do you say this to everyone you meet?" As soon as he finished speaking, someone quickly covered Lin's mouth, causing him to widen his eyes in surprise. It turned out to be Wang Fon. After dealing with Line, he turned his sweat-drenched face back and continued, "I have carefully considered this." He said that, but in his heart he thought, just now she could ride a flying bird, which proves that her abilities are extraordinary and her knowledge must be considerable. Although the realm is not higher than mine, her combat experience is definitely stronger. This tactic can only deceive the folly Chenet. Certainly won't work on her. The younger sister pondered for a moment and suddenly spoke up. You said you are the sect master of the divine immortal sect. Right after saying this, the younger sister turned her face, took out the flyer, placed her hand on the large round speaker and looked at Wang with a gentle gaze. The flyer says the divine immortal sect is recruiting disciples, so do you think I can join? Wang Fo was taken aback upon hearing this. Both teacher and student were thrilled, their eyes sparkling with thoughts of I never expected a sweet treat to fall from the sky and land on my head. I never imagined that this fairy could become my junior sister fellow disciple. Just as they were enjoying the moment, a warning from the system appeared, detected that the host is in an excessively joyful state. A gentle reminder for the host: do not celebrate too early. If the other party does not pay the entrance fee, it will not be considered a disciple. After reading this, he was furious and shouted, "Damn, does this damn system have so many rules?" Wang Fang raised his hand in front of his face, closed his eyes tightly. "The regulation of our divine immortal sect requires you to voluntarily submit all the money you have on you as the sect fee." Upon hearing Wang Fang's words, the girl suddenly ran over and grasped his hand tightly. She took his hand and placed it against her chest, closing her eyes tightly and making a cute face. "I rushed out without any money on me. Can I make up for it later?" The young man was sweating and stammered, awkwardly responding that this was the rule and must be followed, but in his heart he thought that if possible he would rather not pay a single cent. But how could he do that? This was a mandatory requirement of the system. Hearing those words, Lin was struck dumb and thought to himself that even someone like Ling Fu wanted to accede to the sect, and the sect master also wanted to collect money. "I have truly made a lot of money already." At that moment, a group of strange people suddenly appeared behind Ling Fu. "Hey beauty, do you really think you can escape from the palm of the marquis?" Hearing this, the girl opened her eyes wide in panic, and the young man with white hair glared, wearing a sinister smile. "Ha, even your father can't protect you. What can these monkeys in the mountains do to help you?" Ling Fu turned around, pointing his sword forward, frowning in anger. "Lin Yuni, I am now a disciple of the divine immortal sect. In front of my sect master you won't easily destroy your humanity." The guy standing next to him, after hearing this, felt like, "I thought desserts would fall from the sky, but it turns out I am the desert for someone else." Lye jumped down from the tree, leaping forward, looking up at the sky with a strange expression, gathering energy in his hands. "You dare to steal the prey of the marquis? The marquis does not mind giving you a strike." Although the lackey raised by the marquis have all reached the profound general realm, Wang Fang, after hearing this, rested his chin on his hand, closed his eyes and pondered. "The profound general realm is only one level below me, but they have 5 people. Moreover, I don't know what level the captain is. It seems this disciple recruitment has some danger." Ling Fu stared intently at her shining sword, trembling all over. At the same time, Lin walked straight up to Ling Fei Wu and pointed forward. "Ha, little junior sister, you don't have to be afraid. It's just the profound general realm. My sect master can crush you with just a fingertip." The young men, having been slapped in the face, painfully gritted their teeth and frowned. Wang Fang was not much different either. After hearing this, sweat poured down his face like rain, and he thought to himself, "Lin, you really are a big fool, always causing trouble for me. Although my entry phase realm could basically fight a profound general in a moment, I have no real combat experience. If I make a move, I will definitely lose, which will affect my grand plan of accepting disciples." After thinking for a moment, he raised his head, stared ahead with a dazed expression and forced a silly smile. Ling Fu looked up and saw this, then clasped her hands tightly together, kneeling before Wang Fang, and exclaimed, "Thank you, master, for your help." Upon hearing this, the young man raised his hand, closed his eyes tightly and confidently said, "Don't worry, with me here no one can bully you." He talked big, but deep down he felt petrified, thinking, "You all are just echoing each other. You don't need to put me on the roasting pan." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Yun's group landed right in front of Wang Fang, yelling, "What kind of game is this? Daring to show danger in front of me? Let me teach you how to write the word for death." His subordinates understood his intention as they heard him. Some wielded daggers, some swords, and others knives, all of them rushing forward with cold, fierce looks in their eyes. Faced with the attack of those crazed individuals, Wang Fang was taken aback, staring wide-eyed in astonishment. The image of a sharp sword was clearly reflected in his pupils. Suddenly a barrier of reactive space appeared behind Wang Fang, causing their speed to slow down instantaneously. At that moment, a young man swung a blade down towards Wang Fang, but strangely the sword blade suddenly distorted right in his palm. On the surface of the blade was the reflection of Wang Fang, his face beaming with joy. Behind him appeared a girl holding a dagger tightly in her hand. It seems that in the world of Cultivating immortals being a level higher can indeed crush a person. However, those crazed individuals continued to frantically slash their feeble swords at wine foam, which made him find it amusing. They used to be good training targets for me, but in front of my disciple it would be shameful to have a fair fight with them. So Wang Feng decided to look up at the sky and shout loudly, Yuk Ch. Hearing his name, Igu Chang appeared immediately. He raised his sword in front of him, his expression serious and his sharp eyes staring intently at the sword. Igu Chang glided toward the madman, performed a few moves, and in the blink of an eye the whole group was defeated. Having dealt with the scrappy bunch, Yuk Chang charged toward the leader. Lin Yuni gaped in shock when he saw Yuk Chang's sword, his face drenched in sweat. Wang Feng stepped in front of Lin Yuni, glaring intently at the young man, then pointed behind him sarcastically. To make us know how to write the character for death, you all are really risking your lives, but now that character for death still lacks a stroke from you. Line pointed ahead, his face brightening as he glanced at Ling F. Wood. Did you see no need for the sect master to intervene? Just elderly is enough to take care of them. Oh my, this must be the profound general realm. Do you see that in the Yari Empire the strong of the profound general realm are really above the middle level? Lin Yuni felt terrified at Igu Chang's cold expression, his heart pounding, thinking, can he really kill 5 profound general experts in a second? Is this person at the entry phase realm? No, he is probably at the nobility realm. My father couldn't even pass the nobility realm. Thinking of this, he was terrified, sweating profusely. At this point he could only admit his guilt. Ending his thoughts, Yuni raised both his hands, clasping them together. Without hesitation he bowed his head before Wang Feng and prostrated himself. See, senior, I am the junior Len Yuni with eyes that cannot see the great mountain. Please spare my life. I will run away immediately. Let my father, the Marquis of Chanlin of the Yari Empire, prepare a gift for you. As he finished speaking he gave a sinister smile. Ling F.W., who was nearby, widened his eyes in anger upon hearing the name Marquis of Chonan, grinding his teeth. At the same time Wang Feng lunged forward and grabbed Yuk Chang's shoulder. He then leaned his face forward, raising his voice, I don't care if you are the Marquis of Chonglin or the Marquis of Dawn, as long as you dare to come here I will not let you go unpunished. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Ling Fu stared in disbelief. Luing looked up cheerfully, smiling as he said, how can that be? I said our sect master has no problem dealing with that Marquis of Chonin, will only take 2 fingers. Ling Fu bowed his head, recalling the events of the past in the entire Yari Empire. It seems that no one dares to touch the estate of the Marquis of Chanlin. Marquis of Chanlin Lin Tianzong not only possesses nobility cultivation but also commands an army of 500 men. Each soldier is a profound general with 10 captains in the entry phase realm, their strength comparable to several mid-level sects in the empire. Therefore they can act recklessly to harm me, and I can only flee far away from that place. However, the sect master of the divine immortal sect doesn't even pay attention to the existence of the estate of the Marquis of Chonglin. Perhaps he can protect me. Finishing his thoughts, Ling Fu knelt down and prostrated himself before Wang Feng. He glanced at his sister's stunned expression, and after a moment he opened his mouth to speak. What's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly performing such a ceremony? After hearing this, Ling Fu closed his eyes tightly and replied, Sect Master, from the beginning I thought the divine immortal sect has been running around treating a disease. His sister looked up, glaring at Luni, and shouted, but now I firmly believe that the Sect Master can uphold justice for the Ling family. Master Wang Feng, seeing his sister anger, widened his eyes in surprise. What exactly is the grudge between you and Lin Yuni? His sister glared, clenching her teeth, her whole body trembling. During a time when the disciples were sent out for cultivation, I encountered Lin Yuni, the young Marquis of the Marquis of Qin's estate. He was captivated by my beauty and tried to violate me. It took all my strength to escape from his grasp. I thought that ordeal was behind me, but when I returned to the Ling family, as soon as I stepped through the door, I discovered that Ly Yuni had brought the strong men from the Marquis of Chan's estate and slaughtered hundreds of people from the Ling family. If it weren't for my father's desperate protection, I fear I wouldn't have lived to meet the sect master. After speaking, she lifted her head, her face darkened, her whole body trembling. Wang Feng gently approached her to comfort her, saying, don't worry, whether you're my disciple or not, I intend to see this matter through from a different perspective. Upon hearing these words, Lin Yun's eyes widened and he gritted his teeth in discomfort. He dug his fingers into the ground, then using all his strength he sprang up and fled. Sect Master Lin Yuni has escaped. Wang Feng was a little surprised when he saw this. The villain in a comic doesn't directly resist, then they directly kneel down and beg. Why isn't this guy following the usual script? Seeing the terrified expression On Ling Fu's face, Wang Feng boldly patted his sister on the shoulder. Smiling, "Don't worry with the elder here, he won't be able to escape." As soon as he finished speaking, Igu Ch, who was standing aside, also understood the intent and drew out his sword, which emitted a dazzling light. Then he unsheathed the sword entirely, its blade gleaming, while his hair stood on end. Waves of spiritual energy continuously poured out from his body. At that moment, the crazies who had been beaten up just moments ago were suddenly sent flying by Igu Chang's sword chi. Not only that, but Wang Feng, Ling Fu and Lin were also simultaneously lifted into the air. The girl and the frightened little disciple clung tightly to Wu Phone, making him helplessly think, why does Yuchang always want to create such a grand spectacle whenever he makes a move? Luckily my cultivation in the imagery realm is stable, otherwise both I and the disciples would be in the same dire situation. The sect master's face would be completely gone. At this moment someone's foot stomped the ground and jumped up. That foot stepped on the corpses hanging in the air one by one, and it turned out to be the foot of Igu Chang. Thanks to the grace of those crazies, Igu Chang quickly soared upward just in time to catch up with Lin Yuni. The unfortunate young man raised his face and saw Igu Chang, his mouth agape, in panic, running away desperately. Yuk Chang glared with narrowed eyes, staring straight ahead. Then he used the ultimate technique, immortal flying from heaven, launching a stream of sword chi towards Lin Yuni. The stream of sword chi struck directly into Lin Yun's face, causing him to open his eyes in pain. Immediately blood flowed from his face without stopping, even making him cry blood. The immense force knocked him backwards. Yiguang retracted his sword. As the sword was withdrawn, the crazies fell from the sky, blood splattering everywhere. Igu Chang turned to leave, not forgetting to send them another wave of sword shay as a parting gift. At that moment, as Lin Yuni collapsed to the ground, something fell from his neck. It turned out to be an emerald pendant engraved with mysterious images. Ling Fu's eyes whitened as soon as he saw the jade pendant. His younger sister rushed over to grab the pendant, holding it tightly in her hands. The unfortunate young man looked up at the sky, trembling all over. He knelt among the corpses of his subordinates, shouting loudly. Yiguang glanced over and said in a low voice, "According to the sect master, Lin Yong master has stayed here." Ling Fu glared at Igu Chang, secretly sweating and thinking, from the very beginning I knew this person's martial arts were extraordinary, but I never expected them to be this outstanding, especially the move immortal flying from heaven just now. Even if the Marquis of Chonin had acted directly, he probably wouldn't have been able to escape and scath with a character like this as an elder in the divine immortal sect. Sooner or later their reputation will be known throughout the world. Why have I never heard of them before? Am I really that shallow? Lost in thought, he suddenly heard Wang Feng glance over and speak, causing his sister to jump. "I know about your desire to join our divine immortal sect, but it was only to protect yourself that you had to act this way." Ling Fu felt exposed, his face darkening, a drop of sweat rolling down his cheek as her bit his lip in silence. 1F placed his hand on his chest, closed his eyes tightly and smiled. "But I truly want you to become my disciple. However, my sect is a big hidden sect. You will understand this better in the future and can decide then." Fu, upon hearing this, smiled brightly like a blooming flower. Wang Feng saw this and thought to himself, "No wonder I am the famous comic book author. This dramatic moment is what I call pure emotional fire." At this point Ling Fu presented the jade pendant that had been mentioned earlier. "This is a jade attendant, a treasure passed down from the Ling family today. Having received great kindness from the SE master is revenge for me. I am willing to offer it as a fee to join the sect." Wang Feng raised his hand to touch the jade pendant, smiling brightly. "I don't even know if the system accepts jade as a fee, but it doesn't hurt to try." Then Wang Fo opened his eyes halfway and looked up, surprised by something. At this time the younger sister frowned, her eyes clearly showing sadness, deep in thought, as if she was contemplating something. Wang saw this and gasped, whispering to himself, "Oh, why is her face suddenly so red?" Ling Fu pondered and recalled the past. "Xiao, did you always scream for a piece of jade like this before? In the blink of an eye you have reached this age. Today father will give it to you. Take it, it might even turn out to be a love token." At that moment she held the jade pendant and said, "This is the heirloom jade of the Ling family. Show will definitely not give it to anyone." After thinking for a while the younger sister turned her face away sadly. On the contrary, Wang Feng held the pendant between his fingers and gazed at it with bright eyes. At this moment the system displayed, "Congratulations host for completing 1/10th of the task of accepting a disciple. The rewards are 1 summoning opportunity and 1 pre-eyes draw chance." Wang Feng slapped Ling Fu on the shoulder. Startling her, the younger sister looked up confused. Wang Fang cheerfully said, "Now you are a disciple of the divine immortal sect." He widened his eyes and smiled confidently. "You are and is also considered our sect's enemy." After saying that, he pointed at Lin Yuni. "You can take a share of the profits from that useless person." Upon hearing this, Fu's eyes suddenly widened. She noticed a piece of wood by the roadside and without hesitation walked over to pick it up. Then the younger sister strode directly toward Lin Yuni with a face filled with evil energy. "Exterminate the enemy clan like a ship sinking into a sea of blood. This grudge cannot go unavenged." She raised the sharp branch, her eyes full of hatred, gritting her teeth, and shouted loudly, "If I don't kill you, it would be a waste of my status as the great lady of the Ling family." Without hesitation, Ling Fu delivered a fatal stab to Lin Yuni, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The unfortunate young man painfully raised his face to the sky, opening his mouth wide to scream in despair, blood continuously gushing from his throat. Seeing the young man's pitiful appearance, Ling Fu glared and said in a low voice, "Lin Yuni, you took the jade to toy with me. Did you ever think of this day?" She forcefully pulled the branch out of the young man's body and continued, "You high and mighty, thinking that your status as the young master of the Marquis of Qin's mansion could cover the sky. Did you ever think of this day you slaughtered my entire Ling family? So your life will be the price." Finishing her words, the younger sister continued to deliver a powerful stab to his chest, blood pouring out incessantly, the branch being pulled out and dripping drop by drop. But it wasn't over. The younger sister rushed straight in with her elbow sideways, the branch piercing into his chest again. "I ask you once more, have you ever thought of this day?" Lin, witnessing the scene before him, trembled and pointed at Ling Fu's secretary. "Master, little junior sister Shi Wan." Phone snickered after hearing this, interrupting the chubby guy. Words let her Vaughn find satisfaction. At this moment, Lin Yun's eyes whitened, slowly closing them, finally reaching the moment he turned his neck to the side and met his end. No matter how powerful the force is at the moment of death, one could only lie among a group of useless subordinates. The system displayed, "You have a new notification. Congratulations to disciple Ling Fu for taking the life of a strong, profound general realm, receiving 300 sect points." Ling Fei would tightly grasp the blood-soaked branch in her hand, walking forward to kneel right in front of Wang Fang. "Thank you, Secretary Master and Elder Yi, for helping Fu take revenge. From now on, Fu lives as a member of the Divine Immortal Sect, and in death she will also be a spirit of the Divine Immortal Sect." Wang Fang smiled and responded, "I self can provide you with a good foundation for practice, but whether you become truly strong or not depends on yourself." Wang Fang stepped forward to grasping Fei Wu's hand. The young man stared intently at the bewildered expression of Fu and said, "Remember this, my sect." Wang Fang fears no one as long as there is enmity. No matter how strong the opponent is, they must be killed to bring joy. After hearing this, Fei Wu widened her eyes, staring blankly at Wang Fang. Suddenly her eyes closed and tears welled up. The young girl, too emotional, tightly grasped Wang Fang's hand, sobbing, "Fu will not let down the SE Master's teachings." Hearing this, the young man grinned widely, whispering to himself, "I truly am a famous comic author. Controlling people's hearts is really quite simple." Wang Fang raised his hand to the back of his neck, scratching his head awkwardly. "I've talked too much. When the time comes, what will I teach them?" Ling F was not like the wooden club. Liching just 1 year could lead to entry phase right away. Suddenly Yuk Chang's sword clashed with Ling Fei Wu's sword. He turned serious, glancing over, and asked in a stern tone, "Can you practice sword de?" Upon hearing this, the young girl turned to look at Yu Chang with an innocent doik expression and shyly called out, "Ye elder." Yuk Chang bluntly replied, "Will you agree to take me as your master?" Ling Fu, Wang Fang and Luing were left speechless in surprise. Wang Fang saw a great opportunity and whispered to Fu, "It's harder for you to actively take in a disciple than for a stone to bloom. What are you still standing there for, you silly little girl?" Upon hearing this, Fu's eyes widened as sparkles appeared in her pupils. Immediately Ling Fu bowed her head to the ground hard, kneeling at Egu Chang's feet. She called out, "I pay my respects, master." Seeing the enthusiasm of the girl, Iguang said, "Your swordsmanship is very good, but before I pass it on to you, we need to deal with the internal injuries you sustained during the pursuit. Get up and follow me to treat your injuries." After saying this, he tightly shut his eyes and turned to leave. Hearing this, Wu glanced at Wang Fang and called, Sect master. He understood her meaning and smiled. Just go ahead. After that, Wang Fong turned his face to see the two heading towards the dilapidated house and thought to himself, with a guardian and a naturally gifted disciple like Ling Fu, Gu Chang even wants to teach her swordsmanship. I thought this empty-handed endeavor would not succeed. As a result, the sect began to take shape in just an afternoon. In contrast to that, Joy Line sighed sadly when he saw Fu together with Yuk Chang. Little junior sister arrived later than me, yet she could pay her respects to strong elder. I, as the big senior brother, am not as good as little junior sister. The chubby boy shyly walked over to Wang Fong, pointing at his own face. Sect master, I wonder what you will arrange for me next. Upon hearing this, Wang Fong repeatedly patted the chubby boy's round belly. You should lose some weight with that body of yours. He pointed towards the garden in front of them. I have work for you. Go clean up the area around the house. Quickly tidy it up a bit. This is the headquarters of the Divine Immortal Sect. After hearing this line, felt like he had turned to stone. The sky seemed to collapse. The chubby boy diligently sat down, pulling up weeds and muttering sorrowfully. When invited, they spoke flowery words. Treated me like a treasure. As soon as the little sister arrives, I become nothing but weeds. Truly outrageous. In a moment, afternoon turned to dusk, and a rainbow appeared in the sky. At that time, Wang Fong was leaning against a tree, grinning like a fool as he opened the system panel. System, please open the property panel for the Divine Immortal Sect for me. Last time, upon recruiting line, he successfully attracted Yu Chang. This time with the recruitment of Fu, I wonder which esteemed elder will be summoned. The system panel immediately displays Sect Divine Immortal Sect Level 1 Master Y Phone Entry Phase Realm Elder Gu Chang Nobility. Real peak disciple line is merely immortal, while Ling Fu has reached medium spirit realm peak. The sect headquarters is in a small world with a sect point total of 300 points. Wang Fong, feeling curious, pointed at the system panel and asked, what are these sect points used for? As soon as he finished speaking, the system panel immediately displayed the information. Sect points can help the host exchange for chances to win rewards or upgrade the system. Upgrading the system allows the host to summon stronger beings in powerful spells and can accommodate more disciples. After reading this, his eyes lit up and he clenched his fists with an excited expression. Wow, so how can I earn SE points? The ways to earn SE points are as follows. First, complete the tasks assigned by the system with higher difficulty yielding higher points. Second, eliminate the enemy. Eliminate as many enemy points as possible. Third, recruit top geniuses into the sect. The higher the genius's ability, the more points earned. Wang Fong was wide-eyed and dumbfounded after hearing this. Isn't that right? System. Ling Fei Wu at 18 or 19 has reached the medium spirit realm peak, so she must be considered a top genius. Why didn't her points increase after joining the system? Replied that although Ling Fu has potential, she does not possess a special constitution or comprehension of intent, therefore she has not yet reached the top genius ranking. Upon reading this, the young man felt a headache coming on and thought, so Fei was not considered a top genius. What does a top genius with high abilities look like? System. Do you think my SE master can be considered a top genius? The system promptly displayed a response. The host's own talent is ordinary, however, as the system master you will become a top genius. Suddenly Wang Fong burst into tears and exclaimed, what about Luing talent? Searching for Luing talent requires a fee of 100 points. Does the host wish to proceed? The young man was left in a daze. Upon hearing this, that's too much searching for an ordinary person who needs 100 points. Never mind, just keep looking. Having paid the fee, the system began to display images. Disciple line Supreme Monster. Upon seeing this information, Wang Fong was stunned and he imagined the face of the chubby guy along with the Fa Supreme Monster and a loud laugh. Ha, that scared him. He glanced over with a startled face and what caught his eye was the alluring backside of the chubby guy. Seriously, this fat guy could also be ranked as a Supreme Monster at this moment. The chubby guy was still unaware of what was happening, and was diligently pulling weeds. After a while, the hefty brother finally used all his strength and managed to pull up the weed clump. Wang Fong, seeing this, turned pale, sweat pouring down his face as he screamed, oh my god, this fat guy can be ranked as a supreme monster. The system, sensing the owner's panic, displayed, the system is not wrong. Disciple Luqing possesses a black spirit Taurus body, it's just not activated yet. Wang Fong, hearing this, instinctively pointed his finger forward and asked, wait. Minute. What is the body of the Black Spirit Tortoise? The body of the Black Spirit Tortoise is a special physique at the level of a cheat which includes two types of abilities: absolute defense and absolute vitality. Forming the body of the Black Spirit Tortoise ensures that one does not harm their life. The heavens and earth do not age, and neither does he. As all things wither away, he still remains with boundless longevity. The defense is incredibly strong. Even if the heavens and earth were to shatter, he could remain at ease. After hearing this, Wang Fang turned Lu Qing with a surprised expression. That damn fat goo. Lu Qing unexpectedly has such a terrifying physique. If that's the case, if he can successfully cultivate the body of the Black Spirit Tortoise, wouldn't he be immortal? No matter what, he must successfully train Lu Qing. What is the system method to activate that body of Luing? As soon as he finished speaking, the system panel displayed an image of Luing. At that moment the fat guy was holding a ring of grass and smiling. Oh grass mirror, do you know who is the strongest person in Senan mainland? The strongest man in Senan mainland is none other than Luing. The fat guy erased his face to the sky and flared his nostrils upon hearing this. Oh grass mirror, I never expected you to be as knowledgeable as below. Hearing those cold words, the system asked host, do you think Luing deserves to be beaten? Well, I think so too, Wang Fang said, lowering his head in contemplation. But what does Luing deserving to be beaten have to do with the tortoise body? Because the method to activate the Black Spirit Tortoise is to be beaten. Wang Feng widened his eyes in surprise upon hearing this. At that moment the phrase beaten kept replaying in his mind, causing him to frown in annoyance. What the hell? The Black Spirit Tortoise body needs to be beaten from the outside without stopping, so that the blood vessels within can be activated and fully revived. Upon hearing this, Wang Fang realized something and smiled brightly, thinking, if I can't find some legendary treasure to activate Lu Qing's body for now, then beating him is way too simple after all, as long as he doesn't get beaten to death. Right with that thought, Wang Fang envisioned the scene of Luing hanging in the air while Fu continuously hit him with a stick with perfect accuracy. The tortoise body is strong like that, it should be fine. At that moment Luing was playing with his grass mirror when a gust of wind suddenly swept by, causing him to fearfully cover his head and run away. Why is there such an inexplicable chill? While running he suddenly noticed something in St. stopped squinting his eyes and asking, grass mirror, oh grass mirror, do you know what is in the sky? A fierce whirlpool appeared in the sky, surrounded by rumbling lightning strikes. Luing, terrified, rushed to hug Wang Fang, crying uncontrollably, Sect Master, what is happening in the sky? Don't worry, everything is in my hands. In fact, it was just a spontaneous boast. A moment later he immediately turned to question what is happening with the atmosphere in the sky. Disciple Ling Fu was about to break through to the profound general realm that is assigned during the level up. Wang Fang looked at it in astonishment. I really didn't expect that Yu Chang would help Ling Fu heal and ultimately cause her breakthrough. With this information he turned and pointed his finger at the whirlpool, saying to Luing, your junior sister Fu was about to break through to the profound general level that's assigned during the level up. The chubby man was very surprised after hearing this, secretly thinking the junior sister just entered the sect. Not only has she been accepted by the Peak Str Yelder as a master, but she is also breaking through her cultivation. In contrast to me, he is still completely mortal, and at this rate I'm afraid my status is senior brother won't last. Lost in thought, someone's finger poked directly into the chubby cheek of the fat guy. Wang Fang glanced over at Lu Qing and smiled. No need to be disheartened, tomorrow I will teach you how to cultivate. Just give it some time and you will definitely surpass your junior sister. Well, it's not impossible, you just have to be able to endure it. After hearing those words the fat guy was extremely excited and full of energy, thumping his chest boastfully. Thank you, Sect Master, don't worry, Li Qing can endure. After hearing this he released his two fingers from the chubby cheek. I also believe your body can endure. After saying that the master and disciple turned their eyes toward the light from the vortex. I am really looking forward to the moment you break through to the profound general realm. Will the sign be greater? Switching scenes to the mountain opposite Wang Fang's residence. Suddenly a stream of spiritual weapon pierced down from somewhere. A moment later a slender man appeared, his whole body continuously emitting streams of hidden weapons. The young man opened his eyes wide with deep red pupils, grinning menacingly. I didn't expect to sleep for hundreds of years, and when I wake up I can see a part of the profound general realm. It's truly something to look forward to. He stared intently at the swirling vortex in front of him, grinning mischievously. It's just that the profound general realm can become my meal, which is also your honor. With that he kicked hard against the cliff, then dashed straight down without a moment's hesitation. Moreover, he looked incredibly cheerful. Smiling brightly like a flower from another angle, we can now clearly see the speed of his altar as he searches for a tasty prey. At this moment the swirling vortex in the sky gradually dissipated and strange red cracks appeared on the mountaintop for unknown reasons. In the blink of an eye a large explosion occurred, causing the cliff to shatter into pieces. Once the mountain shattered, another vortex appeared in the sky, even more powerful than before. Lightning bolts continuously struck down, and from the vortex accumulated a spiritual weapon ball. That spiritual weapon ball struck directly into Wang Fang's dilapidated house, and the sky immediately turned dark. After a while the sky returned to normal and a foot belonging to someone appeared. Fu stepped out with Yu Chang, her entire body brimming with accumulated spiritual weapon energy. Congratulations to the disciple Ling F. Wu of the Sect Master for breaking through to the profound general realm. This time the reward is 1000 Sect points. Wang Fang grinned widely upon receiving the announcement. This young girl is truly a genius. She is just one realm away from me. Luckily, I have the system, otherwise I'd be left behind and wouldn't know how to face everyone. F. Wu approached, clashed her hands and bowed to Wang Fang. Thank you, Sect Master, for giving Fu this opportunity. Line, standing aside, felt a bit jealous and turned to bite the young man, then whispered, this tiny profound general realm is nothing, just wait a year, my entry phase will truly be called genius. Wang Fang extended his hand towards Yu Chang. Fortunately we have the elder beside us. I hope that in the future you can take the Sect's reputation and bring it to greatness. At that moment a gust of energy swept past Yu Chang and he instinctively glanced over. In midair a circle of evil energy appeared, emanating a voice. I thought there was only one token of the profound general realm. As soon as the words left his mouth the young man filled with evil energy appeared behind Wang Fang. He glared at Wang Fang with a sinister smile. Who would have thought I could harvest more of these heart to swallow crickets? The young man was furious and immediately called out, system, investigate the information of that young man. Checking cultivation requires 10 SEC points. Checking the entire background requires 100 points. Spend those 100 points, darling. Wang Fang frowned, staring intensely ahead, thinking to himself, there's a saying, knowing others and knowing oneself, one can win 100 battles. This person puts a lot of pressure on me. I even feel that Yu Chang might not be able to defeat him, so it's better to know everything. After a while of data loading, the system displayed this person destroyed the E Empire 1,000 years ago. Great Demon Sienna. His cultivation has reached profound sovereign peak. He was defeated and sealed by the Emperor of the Yua Empire. He has just broken the seal, so his cultivation is now only nobility peak. After reading, the young man held his head in frustration, thinking, fortunately this demon is not at peak, otherwise relying solely on Yu Chang he might not be able to hold his ground. Contrary to the young man's fears, the chubby guy pointed at Great Demon Sienna and shouted, who are you? How dare you come to disturb our divine immortal sect? Get out of here quickly, if not Elder Yi will definitely not leave you a place to be buried. Great Demon Sienna upon hearing this glanced at the sign hanging in front of the house and murmured, divine immortal sect, huh, where did this sect come from? This great demon has never heard of it before. Recalling the words of the chubby guy, the young man glared fiercely, pointed at Luqing's face and shouted, and you, this fat name, don't you know how to value your life to be so disrespectful to this great demon? Wang Fang Yu Chang were also very surprised by Luqing's words, thinking, I can't believe our chubby friend Luqing is so brave, relying on a mortal body, daring to insult nobility peak. At the same time Fei was stepped in to grab the chubby guy's sleeve with a worried expression. Senior brother, this person's aura is not as low as you think. His cultivation is at least nobility peak. Great Demon Sienna used two of his fingers to make a makeshift binocular towards F. Wu. This little girl has a keen eye. He tried to make a strange face, grinning like a madman, and said, ha, I am indeed frightening like this. After hearing this, Luing pointed at Wang Fang and confidently replied, so what if it's the nobility realm? I still have the Sect Master right here. The Sect Master has said that the entry phase only takes 1 year and the profound sovereign at most 3 years. Then the chubby guy continued to raise his troublesome finger in front, frowning and shouting loudly, our master can kill you with just one finger. Great Demon Sin Sha felt a bit scared after hearing these words, staring at Wang Fang, trembling. Although I sense he has some cultivation, it can't be exaggerated like this. Luing leaned back, lifting his third leg in Sin Shan's face, shouting loudly, you little cricket, coming to divine immortal sect to cause trouble, truly unaware of life and death. Hurry up and kneel down to accept your fate. The young great demon responded, damn it, shut up you fat guy, I see you really want to seek death. W. Fang looked at the scene before him, his face showing helplessness. Now I understand why this Chubby guy has the body of a black spirit tortoise. It's because he is just asking for a beating. Great demon Sienna stood above seeing Luing's stance and shouted angrily, is there no one to manage your unruly man? Killing him will only dirty my hands. Someone come out and fight me. Hearing this, Wang Feng turned to order Yuk Chong, why don't you handle him for now? I guarantee he won't dare to come back after the task was done. The young man secretly opened the system interface. System, allow me to use the summoning opportunity. The system is executing the host's summoning command and is preparing for the summoning. Meanwhile, Great Demon Sienna was unleashing his power, and in the palm of his hand he was gathering a hidden weapon ball. Are you the elder that the damned fat man mentioned? After saying this, the hidden weapon ball in his hand transformed into the pressure of a gigantic hand. He struck a deadly blow towards Yuk Chong, wearing a smug smile. Let me see how you make me die without a grave to bury me. Faced with the attack of Great Demon Sha, Egu Chang remained calm and boldly drew out his gleaming sword. He swung the sword forward, piercing through the eerie hand of Great Demon Sin Sha. However, the eerie hands immediately recovered and seized the sword of Egu Chang, but that was just a trick to distract Egu Chang. The eerie hands suddenly appeared behind him in the blink of an eye. The eerie hand had captured Egu Chang, catching him completely off guard. At that moment he could only stare at the arm controlling the eerie hand of Great Demon Sienna, thinking, I was wondering how skilled the elder was. It turns out catching him is so easy. Luing looked up and was amazed at the scene before him. Fiu came over and grabbed the hem of Wang Feng's clothes, looking worried. Sect Master, you must act quickly to save Master. Upon hearing this, he closed his eyes tightly and calmly replied, you really underestimate your master. How could the little demon king possibly hold Yuk Chang? Returning to the battle between Yuk Chang and the Great Demon. At this moment Yuk Chang had summoned a talisman and flew through the eerie hand. Great Demon Sienna inadvertently saw this and opened his eyes wide. In focus, the beam of light was gradually speeding towards Great Demon Sienna, causing him to clench his teeth in panic. At this moment a beam of light shone on his hand. The beam of light continued to pierce through his eerie hand. In a moment of unprepared panic, the beam of light attacked the palm of Great Demon Sienna, catching him completely off guard. In the blink of an eye, Great Demon Sin Sha was knocked back by the beam of light and fell freely to the ground. His hand clawed fiercely at the ground. A second later, Great Demon Sienna landed in a position that pushed him backward, and at that moment Egu Chang also touched down with him. Egu Chang, with a serious expression, stepped towards Great Demon Sienna, one step at a time. Great Demon looked up, breathing heavily, clenching his teeth and thinking, in this remote mountain area how could there be a being of nobility realm? Then he stared intently at his palm, gritting his teeth in anger. His palm had been scratched deeply down to his arm by Yuk Chang's swordsmanship. This swordsmanship of his, the firepower, the purity of strength, is too high. Great Demon Sin Sha was seething with rage, clenched his fist tightly, and his eyes emitted a sinister light. On the ground a strange hidden weapon appeared, lifting him up into the air. Egu Chong stood across from him intently, watching the stream of hidden weapons slowly lifting Great Demon Sin Sha into the air. The chubby talkative guy saw this and immediately pointed, raising his voice and provocation, oh, can't fight anymore and want to run away? Where's the logic in that? Finishing his words, the chubby guy struck a wide-legged stance accompanied by a proud expression and said, if you want to leave you'll have to crawl through my legs, otherwise don't even think about leaving the divine immortal sect in one piece. Great Demon Sienna, hearing this, became furious and shouted, damn you fat bastard, you dare to mock my ultimate move. As soon as he finished his sentence, the chubby guy immediately received a punch from someone. He looked up, cradling his chubby cheek, and asked in confusion, Sect Master, why did you hit me? Well, I saw a bug on your face. But inside he was cursing, damn it, why is this fat guy so annoying? I forgot he was beside us. Great Demon Sienna stared intently at Egu Chang, breaking into a sinister smile. After breaking free from the seal, you are the first one who can stimulate my appetite. To show respect for our exquisite dish, I will tear you apart with my own hands. As soon as he finished speaking, a massive concealed weapon gathered in the sky. Along with it, a strange hand was aimed directly at Egu Chang's head. When Egu Chang looked up, that strange hand was already very close. Ling Fu, seeing this from a distance, was extremely shocked and shouted loudly, Master, be careful. Yuk Chong gripped his sword Tightly the blade was wrapped tightly in a white aura of spiritual weaponry. Yi Guchang stomped down hard on the ground for momentum, then soared into the air. The white aura of spiritual weaponry from Yi Guchang's sword spread out, covering the area. He stared fiercely ahead, using the ultimate technique, immortal flying from heaven, delivering a fatal strike toward the concealed weapon of Great Demon Sin Sha. From this angle we could see the beam of light emanating from Yi Guchang piercing through the palm of Great Demon Sin Sha. Everything around began to turn chaotic. Fu sensed that the situation was not right and tightly grabbed Lu Qing's hand, pulling his inside. Yi Guchang's spiritual weapon launched a direct attack on the mysterious palm, seemingly trying to tear apart the giant eerie hand of Great Demon Sin Sha. Blood splattered continuously, and that was the finishing blow that ended the battle. As the battle concluded, the sky turned blue again. Outside Wang Feng's dilapidated house, thick clouds of smoke appeared. He and Fei Wu opened all the doors and peeked outside, showing expressions of astonishment. While the entire valley has been flattened, the yard had been completely stripped of all its plants and flowers. After just one battle, Yi Guchang's feet touched the ground while Great Demon Sienna collapsed in a position of defeat. Yi Guchang raised his sword behind him, glaring intently at Great Demon Sin Sha. The Great Demon clenched his teeth, thinking to himself, Yi Guchang's strength is only slightly inferior to mine. If I exert all my effort, I might be able to kill him, but he will definitely realize that I am breaking my seal, and at that point I can only flee. After thinking for a moment, he decided to retreat voluntarily. That's enough for today. Once my strength is restored, I will come back to fight you all again. Wang, hearing this, asked sharply, Are you scared? You can't run away today. Great Demon Sin Sha, upon hearing this, grinned mischievously and said, I admit you are the most formidable Marquis realm I have ever encountered, but even so you fundamentally cannot defeat me. Upon hearing this, Yi Guchang put away his sword and said, The master instructed me to hold you back. Defeating you is someone else's job. As soon as he finished speaking, a gentle breeze blew in and snowflakes began to fall from the sky. Wang Fan looked up and smiled upon realizing something as objects descended from above. It seems he has arrived. Great Demon Sin Sha raised his hand to catch the snowflakes, wondering why is it suddenly snowing at this moment. Yi Guchang suddenly closed his eyes tightly and firmly said, I actually don't know anything at all. Then he opened his eyes in discomfort, but now my sword tells me that he might be the enemy of my lifetime. As soon as he finished speaking, suddenly a foot from someone approached. At this moment a man appeared behind Great Demon Sienna, a thin figure with long hair. This man with grey eyes was the sword god Chim and Chush Shu. Great Demon Sin Sha turned around and saw Chush Shu, beads of sweat pouring down like rain. He thought to himself, just one Yi Guchang is already a headache, and now there's another strong one like him. It seems I have no chance to escape. Among the 36 strategies, running away is the best option. With that thought, he recklessly turned and bolted away like a madman, racing past Shu Shu. Observing this, the sword god Shu Shu immediately gathered a wave of spiritual energy at the tips of his 2 fingers and then lightly struck towards Great Demon Sin Sha as a greeting. However, it seemed that Great Demon Sin Sha did not sense the attack and continued to run away frantically. A moment later, blood gushed violently from his neck for reasons unknown, and he began to feel the pain, opening his mouth wide and screaming "Aa!" The blood flowed from his body like a stream. At that moment an invisible blade stained with red streaks of blood appeared in Chu's hand. Great Demon Sienna glared down at his sword and gritted his teeth, shouting, Swordsmanship without form or shadow. Swordsmanship based on light that can kill. What kind of swordsmanship is this? Shu Shu, after hearing this, raised his 2 fingers and retracted the invisible sword. He stared intently at the face of Great Demon Sienna and said, I only casually slashed a line. It does not count as swordsmanship, therefore it is not worth naming. At that episode 2 moment, the 3 young men stood silently staring at each other without saying anything. Yuk Chang raised his sword to cover half of his face, intently looking at Sherman Shu Shu. In contrast, Sherman Shu Shu focused his gaze on the ground. Ju Fong, standing to the side, saw this and squinted his eyes, thinking, I didn't expect this time to summon Yi Guchang's only rival, Sherman Shu Shu. If Yi Guang is the fairy of swordsmanship, then Sherman Shu Shu is the sword god. 2 strong swordsmanship, both serious and sincere, had reached a level where only the sword existed in their hearts. After thinking for a moment, he turned to open The system panel, but according to the theory Yuk Chang should be stronger than Sherman Shu Shu, right? The system panel immediately opened. The character attributes: Sherman Shu Shu has a cultivation level of mid, profound sovereign realm. His profound skill is Blossom Light Word Dao Peak Royal Grade, and his profound weapon is a fake Royal Peak. During this summoning of Sherman Shu Shu after the Forbidden City battle, Sherman Shu Shu had truly emerged victorious. Since then, Sherman Shu Shu swordsmanship has ascended to a new level, reaching a state where the mind is one with the sword. The universe and all things can be the realm of swordsmanship. Wang felt incredibly excited after reading this. If that's the case, then it makes sense. I've heard that the profound sovereign real and Emperor Yaoi are both pinnacle levels. Not bad, not bad. From now on, the Divine Immortal Sect will also have a profound sovereign realm expert in charge. Suddenly Yu Chang swung his sword forward, pointing it directly at Sherman Shu Shu's face. With a frosty expression he said, "Since the Forbidden City battle I never expected we would meet again." Sherman Shu Shu immediately raised two fingers, brushing the sword aside. He replied coldly, "Wait until you break through to profound sovereign, then we'll fight again." Yu Chang was taken aback, his eyes wide. Then he frowned in annoyance, gritting his teeth and glaring ahead with icy eyes. Okay, having resolved the matter, Sherman Shu Shu stepped up to Wang Fang and clasped his hands in salute. Having met the sect master Sherman arrived late. The young man Xin Sha Great Demon sat in pain to one side, gritting his teeth in anger but unable to do anything. He glared at the three of them, thinking to himself, if he elder takes action I will definitely run with all my might. If Sherman elder acts I still have a chance to survive, but if the SE master takes action I will certainly die for sure. Although his strength was not immediately discernible, even someone at the strong profound sovereign realm must respect him. This suggests that his true power is immeasurable. After pondering for a moment he realized he was out of options, so he clutched his head and burst into a sinister smile. "Even if I am destined to die here today," he said, raising his eerie hand towards the chubby kid Li Qing, angrily shouting, "If I must die, I will definitely drag this annoying brat down with me to pay the price." The chubby kid, faced with the attack of Xin Sha Great Demon, could only cover his face and cried bitterly, loudly exclaiming, "Although they say I can reach entry phase in a year, my current cultivation is just that of an ordinary person. You can't hit me with your strength, but if you use me you really are a foolish rabbit." Ling Fu looked up, and upon seeing the scene before him he opened his eyes wide and shouted, "Senior brother, are you okay?" But how could anything have happened? Yi Chang had drawn his shining sword, easily creating a protective barrier with his spiritual weapon around the chubby boy, while Yu Chang was using his sword to create the protective barrier. He inadvertently ripped Lin's pants, revealing his underwear. The Xin Sha Great Demon, seeing this, clenched his teeth in anger and shouted, "If I catch him I will surely smash this brat's face in." Suddenly Yu Chang retracted his sword, causing the chubby boy to fall from the sky and hit the ground hard. Lying on his back, water spewed from his throat as he sobbed and thought, "Even though the Divine Immortal Sect is powerful, if I run into someone who wants a life for a life I could die young, and no matter how talented I am it seems I can't venture out anymore." Someone raised two fingers, gathering an invisible stream of spiritual weapon energy. It was Sherman Shu Shu. He pointed his two fingers at the head of the Xin Sha Great Demon and then, making a cool face, glanced to the side and asked in a serious tone, "SE Master, how should we deal with him?" As soon as he finished speaking someone raised two fingers. Wang Fang held his two fingers up in front of the Great Demon, grinning slightly. "I give you two choices. One is to hand over all the wealth on you as a fee to join the Divine Immortal Sect. The other is to be used as fertilizer for the flowers in my garden." After saying this the young man's expression suddenly changed, as if he was contemplating something. "If I can recruit the Great Demon into the sect, then I can gain the opportunity to summon in points for the sect. Let's see how it goes, whether he is truly capable or just blundering about. If he is, then he can be killed later." The Xin Sha Great Demon, upon hearing these words, became extremely angry, and shouting loudly, "This demon can be killed but cannot be humiliated." At this moment Ling, who was standing next to Fu, couldn't help but point at the Great Demon and say, "Sect Master." He chose the second option. Before he could finish, the chubby man continued to thrust out his belly, cheerfully pointing down at the ground with his two fingers. "Soon I will personally bury him in the ground then water him with some holy water to ensure the flowers of the divine immortal sect bloom beautifully. Upon hearing these words the face of Luing clearly appeared in Wang Fong mind. This damned fat name, this pain I will not forget in the future. I will definitely beat you into a black spirit tortoise. Just as the thought crossed his mind, someone punched him hard on his chubby cheek, leaving him flat on the ground. He glanced over to see Ling Fu with an evil energy-filled expression and asked, "Junior sister, why did you hit me?" Fu upon hearing this tightly closed her eyes, trying to suppress her emotions. "Senior brother, there's a mosquito on your face, I'm just swatting it for you." Upon hearing this he immediately took out a grass mirror and wildly waved it in the air. "Why do these mosquitoes like to suck my blood so much? Don't they know the precious genius blood flows through me?" Seeing Lu Qing making a fool of himself all this time, the great demon Xenia could no longer hold back and shouted loudly, "Try." Seeing that face of the great demon, Wang Fong smiled lightly. He gently stroked a tuft of hair of the great demon, then tightly closed his eyes and cheerfully said, "I know how arrogant you are, otherwise join my divine immortal sect for a year. If within a year our divine immortal sect cannot make you willingly stay, then 1 year later you can leave freely." Hearing Wang Fong's sweet words, the Sienna great demon was stunned, and his anger faded away in the blink of an eye. He had left his position, leaving a plume of smoke rising. He appeared right in front of Wang Fo, howling wildly like a fleas-eating wolf. In the pupils of the Xenia great demon 2 streams of bright red demonic energy emerged. He shouted in Wang Fong's face the 4 words, "The demon can kill." But a moment later, surprisingly, he knelt obediently before Wang Fong and uttered the next 4 words, "Cannot be offended." In his hand was a tattered pouch. Wang Fong took the pouch, sweating and muttering, changing so quickly his body still seems very honest, yet he is making such a loud show of force. When he took the pouch, the system's notification popped up, "Congratulations host, you have received 10,000 SE points and a summoning opportunity." Seeing the reward on the system's board, Wang Fong was incredibly delighted, smiling broadly. "I didn't expect to recruit the Xenia great demon into the sect, and the reward is so substantial. It seems that in the future I must recruit many strong individuals." After thinking for a moment, one phone turned to question the Xenia great demon. "Right, what did you just say about dim sum?" The young man furrowed his brow and thought, "Now that I have received the reward, I naturally want to clarify things. If this demon is truly a great demon harming the human world, how can I Fong escape from this demon today?" As he was deep in thought, the Xenia great demon suddenly coughed twice. He scratched his head and smiled. This is just a hobby of the great demon. I'm just used to scaring others. I didn't expect it to be so much fun." The young man was taken aback upon hearing that. Just as the system was about to turn off, he suddenly spoke up, "System, is everything the Xenia great demon said true?" The system immediately displayed true. Seeing the result, the young man gritted his teeth, his expression extremely ugly. WFO stared intently at the dazed expression of the Xenia great demon, remaining silent. After observing for a moment, he looked up at the sky. "So it was a misunderstanding." "That's right, just a misunderstanding. He." The young man stared at the face of the Xenia great demon, secretly thinking, "Damn it, no matter how good or bad you are still the Xenia great demon, once at the profound sovereign peak, yet you still want to intimidate others to satisfy yourself. Only someone with a screw loose could do such things. If it weren't for the fear that you would kill me right away for being repulsive about breakfast, I definitely wouldn't reveal the truth even if I was crushed to death." Ling Fu stood to the side watching the boy and the great demon laughing like 2 crazy people. "I didn't expect that just a few words could convince the Xenia great demon at the nobility realm to join the sect. What kind of secret technique is this?" the chubby guy exclaimed. "Indeed, the SE master is the real big shot." After laughing for more than 10 minutes, Wang Fong turned to look behind, pointing forward with a smile. "That's enough laughing. Don't just stand there with a blank face anymore. Everyone follow me." Wang Fong walked straight to his dilapidated house and Fu curiously asked from behind, "Sect master, where are you going?" He opened the door and put his hand inside the house. "Of course, I'm bringing everyone to the real headquarters of the divine immortal sect." Fu and the chubby guy were extremely excited after hearing this, shouting loudly, "I knew it, the sect's headquarters can't just be a thatched house. Finally, are we really seeing the actual headquarters?" The great demon Xenia followed closely behind, and upon hearing those words his expression darkened. He looked A head with a dazed gaze and a foolish smile sweating nervously as he thought, indeed I have unintentionally stumbled upon an ancient mysterious big sect. If not, how could this shabby house have profound sovereign realm and nobility realm? Let's see what this divine immortal sect really is, what kind of mysterious big sect it truly is. After a while Wang Feng's group arrived at a small room. The young man closed his eyes tightly and smiled slightly. Everyone was crammed into a tiny room feeling extremely cramped. Seeing this, Wang Feng said, the room may be a bit small, but don't crowd together so much anymore. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Feng gathered a flow of spiritual weapon into his palm. Suddenly a golden token appeared in his hand and the spiritual weapon poured out continuously. The young man read the command, open. Hearing the command, the token of the divine immortal sect flew up into the air, and at that moment Wang Feng's shabby house emitted a strange light. Line and Fu were stunned to see the streams of qi emanating from that brilliant light. Meanwhile Xenia the great demon screamed loudly upon witnessing those streams of qi as if he had never experienced anything like it before. In the blink of an eye a hidden realm appeared before him, radiating a dazzling light. Just seeing it, Xenia the great demon's eyes whitened in shock, and he thought to himself, what kind of sect is this divine immortal sect? Its headquarters is inside a hidden realm. What kind of realm can establish a sect headquarters within it? This mysterious big sect has so many terrifying aspects. Now here is a bit of information about the hidden realm. Hidden realms are extremely rare in Senan mainland. Whenever a hidden realm appears, it always leads to a bloody battle, because only those at the profound emperor realm or higher can open a hidden realm. Inside a hidden realm there may be treasures stored by the profound emperor realm, or even inheritance. Upon hearing this, the supreme pondered, but I never expected this sect to directly occupy a hidden realm. This means the sect master must be at least at the profound emperor realm, which also indicates that the divine immortal sect has inheritance in the profound emperor realm. If we can inherit the profound emperor realm, then we— Before he could finish speaking, he saw Wang Feng stepping into the secret realm. As he crossed into the secret realm, abundant spiritual weapon currents rushed into Wang Feng's nose. Then he widened his eyes in surprise, as if he was witnessing some mysterious scenery. Before us was a magnificent bustling hall with smoke and mist swirling like a fantastical fairyland. In front of the hall was a stone bridge connecting to the rushing river below, along with a stone tablet carved with the three characters Divine Immortal Sect. Ling, Fu and Luqing, upon seeing the scene before them, gaped in astonishment, exclaiming, "Oh wow!" several times. The Sienna Great Demon was also incredibly surprised. Living in darkness for so many years now, I can finally broaden my horizons. Divine Immortal Sect with a view like this. The two words Divine Immortal truly deserve it. Wang Feng took the lead, stepping onto the stone bridge to guide the way. Seeing this, Fu and the chubby Luqing happily followed behind him. After walking for a while, they finally arrived in front of the grand hall's gates. Before entering, Wang Feng turned to remind them, you can choose any tower here to stay in. After selecting, you may also tour the sect headquarters, but there are a few forbidden areas that must not be trespassed. The three disciples, upon hearing this, joyfully replied in unison, "Yes, Master Sect." After finishing his words, Wang Feng turned to open the gates wide and stepped into the main hall. He noticed small chairs made of stone arranged in rows on either side of a large chair with intricate carvings. The large chair was enveloped by a rich flow of spiritual energy. Wang Feng approached and sat on the chair with a satisfied expression. His gaze was fixed on his hand resting on the armrest. Then he clasped his hands together, half closed, closing his eyes while intently staring ahead. He mused, one day I want this hall to be filled with the profound emperor realm. So he cheerfully opened the system panel and wanted to use the summoning opportunity. Immediately the system announced, "Congratulations, host has summoned Palace Master of Shifting Flowers, Palace Yaoyu." The young man was taken aback. Upon seeing this, he pinched his cheek to check if he was dreaming. What, finally this time I have summoned a once-in-a-lifetime beauty. Out of intense curiosity, Wang Feng immediately called up the system panel to display Yao's character attributes. Instantly the system showed the image of a stunningly beautiful girl with an exceptionally voluptuous figure. Yao is a character from the novel X Dragon, the Grand Palace Master of the Shifting Flowers Palace, renowned as the most beautiful woman in the world. Her martial arts skills are on par with warrior Yen, the world's greatest divine swordsman, she is the strongest among women with a cultivation level at the early stage of the profound sovereign realm. Her profound skill is the bright jade skill, shifting flowers replacing jade at the peak of royal rank, and her profound weapon is the jade blood reflecting cyan, also at the peak of royal rank. After reading this, Wang Feng clapped his hands repeatedly, his face lighting up with joy. As expected of the number one expert, the heroine from the Legend of Flowers and the 10 Gentlemen, truly powerful. Suddenly flowers began to emerge slowly from the ceiling above him. A moment later a glowing circle opened right in front of Wang Feng, and from that circle a fair delicate foot stepped out, following that the beautiful face of a woman, her eyes tightly closed, appeared at that moment a stunningly beautiful girl with a perfectly curvaceous figure. In full ripe features came rushing straight towards Wang Fo. He was utterly shocked, his eyes wide open in surprise. The girl landed on right in front of Wang Feng. Upon seeing her he smiled slightly, drooling with delight. This beautiful girl was none other than the palace master of Shifting Flowers Palace, Yaoyu. Wang Feng was startled when he heard her name, widening his eyes and opening his mouth in disbelief. Is this really the number one beauty in the world? He was so captivated by her beauty that his divine soul was in turmoil, and he murmured, "Even if I broke my arm painting I still wouldn't be able to capture her beauty." The girl clasped her hands together, lowered them to her waist, and then knelt to pay her respects before the confused Wang Feng, saying, "You pays her respects to the sect master." Seeing this he widened his eyes and broke into a pleased smile. "To have the number one beauty in the martial world bow before me is truly marvelous. No need for such politeness, just follow me from now on." After hearing this the girl stared blankly at Wang Feng, her face showing no other expression, and replied, "Yes, sect master." With that Yaoyu walked over and sat down on the stone bench. As her hand touched the surface of the bench suddenly icy flower branches sprouted up from nowhere. Wang Feng stood beside, feeling cold from the gusts of wind emanating from his younger sister, and he spat out water. He shilly turned to her and gently said, "Why don't you step back for now, and when my true self goes outside you can follow me." Hearing this the younger sister immediately left her position, knelt down and declared, "I obey the order of the sect master." After saying this she instantly disappeared, leaving behind icy smoke. Wang Feng could only smile wryly at this. Moments later he curled up on the chair, trembling and biting his teeth tightly. Yao's bright jade skill was truly frightening. What scared him the most was when she unknowingly used her energy. Just being beside her made him feel like he was about to freeze to death. Outside the main hall of Wang Feng there was a slightly large but not too big arena in the courtyard. Inside a corridor of the hall Yaoyu is currently using her spiritual energy to fly through. At the same time Sienna the great demon was walking along the corridor, looking around as if searching for something. After searching for a while and feeling tired he raised his face to the ceiling, clenched his teeth and thought to himself, how strange, isn't the divine immortal sect a big ancient hidden sect? Why are there only a few strong ones? Where is everyone else? Could it be that the divine immortal sect is just an empty shell? After thinking for a moment he inadvertently kicked a door hard with his foot. The door creaked open and a gust of air rushed out from inside, attacking the evil foot of the Sin Sha great demon, causing him to flinch and panic. The Sin Sha great demon stared down, beads of sweat pouring down his face. What is this? What is behind that door? In the blink of an eye the Sin Sha great demon's foot was frozen by that gust of air. He gasped and realized that's the freezing energy. At this point he was stunned and collapsed to the ground, his hair standing on end. Like Goku resurrected, the Sin Sha great demon looked inside the door and saw Yaoyu lying on a bench with a dark evil energy filled expression. Yaoyu sat inside looking out with an expressionless face, her voice low and fierce, "If you dare to break in again don't blame me for granting you death." After saying that she raised her face, and two beams of light appeared in her pupils, her face darkening, filled with evil energy. Seeing this the Sin Sha great demon hurriedly slammed the door shut and quickly sidestepped. He looked up to the sky, clenched his fists and thought again, is it another strong profound realm? The young man sat alone, helpless with his frozen leg. It seems that the great powers in the divine immortal sect are all asleep. This person must have been disturbed by me earlier and just woke up. The act of probing every corner of me before was clearly looking for death. He then pulled his frozen leg up, leaning against the wall as he hobbled away. "I am the great demon Sin Sha, and right after my emergence I was pinned to the ground by someone. It's really infuriating." Thinking of this he suddenly opened his eyes wide as if realizing something. He pictured himself hugging Wang Feng's thick thigh and smiled foolishly. But being able to hug a leg is also a skill of this demon. Others want to hug it but don't get the chance. The next morning In the main hall of the Divine Immortal Sect, Fu appeared with a sad face and a vacant look in her eyes. The chubby guy appeared in surprise, eyes wide open. At this moment Fu was standing in front of Li's room. I wonder what Fei Wu junior sister is looking for. Senior brother about. Fei Wu quickly placed her hand on Lu Qing's cheek. Senior brother, I'm sorry. After saying this she unexpectedly slapped the chubby guy, distorting his facial features to one side. She slapped him so hard that the chubby guy was thrown up, blood pouring from his mouth but painfully. The chubby cheek that had just been slapped was still bright red and it continued to pound against the floor. The impact was so strong that the tower trembled violently as if an earthquake had just passed by. At this moment the chubby guy fell face down on the floor and Fu looked at him with some guilt. Then the chubby guy raised his head, his face completely distorted, his nose and mouth bruised dark purple and red. Fu was startled and panicked, jumping back and asking, what the hell is that? Luing held his cheek with his hand, tears trembling in his eyes. Junior sister, what have you done? Fy Wu was surprised to see the chubby guy sit up after such a blow, and she thought to herself, the sect master really didn't deceive me. Senior brother has an incredible physique. I used 1/10 of my strength from the profound general realm just now, but senior brother can still stand up. Impressive. Wu placed her hand on her chest, making an apologetic face. Senior brother, I did this for your own good. You hit me because you wanted to do good for me. The chubby brother was furious after hearing that, pointing at his cheek and shouting loudly, junior sister, is this what is good? Clearly you want to kill to take the position of the great senior brother of the Divine Immortal Sect because you crave that position. Fu stood straight and timidly explained, senior brother, the sect master asked me to train with you, and as long as I don't kill you it doesn't matter how I fight because the sect master said you have an extraordinary physique. Hearing this the chubby brother was stunned, his eyes wide open. What extraordinary physique? Come, I don't know about it. He was determined not to believe it, yelling loudly, junior sister, is there something wrong with you? Fwa after hearing this closed her eyes and chuckled. A moment later, unable to hold back, she put on an icy expression, furrowing her brow in annoyance, and said, senior brother, you really do have an extraordinary physique. Seeing Fu's expression, Luing was startled and panicked, sweating profusely. Could it be that I really am a peerless genius? Then why am I still immortal? A peerless talent should be as easy as drinking water, right? In response, Fu gently clarified, it's because your physique hasn't been activated yet. The chubby guy still didn't understand how the activation worked, so he excitedly asked, so how do I activate it? At this point the junior sister turned her face away and kicked him square in the face with a hefty stomp. Getting hit will activate it now. The chubby guy's face had the full imprint of a shoe and his mouth was turned upward toward the sky, giving him a rather handsome look. Struggling to sit up, he pleaded, junior sister, maybe we should wait for the SE master instead. At this rate I'm going to be completely wrecked. Fau closed her eyes tightly, raised a finger and responded, the sect master fears that with one careless strike you might end up meeting your ancestors. She then lowered her head and softly said, that's why the SE master asked me to practice with you first to ease you in. After saying this she clasped her fingers together, gathering all her energy into the palm of her hand. Seeing this the chubby guy screamed in terror, a junior sister. A second later he let out a frantic yell, go easy on me, show mercy please, junior sister, stop beating me. Meanwhile One Phone was standing outside the main hall, intently watching the chubby guy room. Smiling with his eyes half closed he whispered to himself, having a junior sister who helps senior brothers this diligently is truly a blessing. 4-0 Lean can definitely activate his physique and achieve extraordinary genius. If I were not concerned about the image of the sect master I would want to take matters into my own hands and turn Lu Chen into a black spirit tortoise physique. After thinking this he turned and left, ignoring Lu Ch cries of sect master help me. The scene shifts to Ling Sha Peak, where a grand palace stands on a rocky mountain floating amid layers of clouds and mist. Entering Ling Sha Peak, around the various halls dense spiritual weapon energies gather before the entrance of the Ling insect. Inside the hall the elders are seated in front of a man. That man is Qin Fom, master of the Ling Inked. One elder turned and said, master, the demon sealing gathering is about to begin, but young master Qin Xin cannot break through to the profound general realm in a short time. This time it seems our Ling Inked will not be able to make it onto the demon sealing list. He is Joan Fo, Grand Elder of the Lingen sect, and when he looked over he saw two elderly elders, one wearing an eye mask and the other grooming his dentures. Our sect really does resemble a retirement home. Old Xinfang's face darkened as he fixed his gaze ahead. The demon sealing gathering is very important. Our Lingen sect must strive to compete regardless of the circumstances. After saying this, Elder Qinfen Took out a book titled Demon Sealing List. The Demon Sealing List is related to the ability to join the Yaoi Academy, and we the Lingen sect cannot miss out on this opportunity. Upon hearing this, Elder Wan Fong lowered his head sadly. This time the order is that only young disciples can participate in the demon sealing gathering. Our Lingen sect only has the young master who has reached the medium spirit realm peak. How can we compete with the geniuses of other large sects? Upon hearing this, the sect master's expression darkened as he fell into deep thought, while the other elders helplessly sighed and held their heads. Suddenly the sect master thought of something. He opened his eyes wide and stood up, shouting loudly, "Has anything happened recently around the Shinal mountain range?" The grand elder closed his eyes tightly and stroked his beard as he replied, "The Ling family city Halfong was destroyed by the Marquis of Chong'an. The eldest lady of the Ling family escaped to the Shinal mountain range and was pursued and killed by the young lord of the Marquis of Chonglin. The outcome is still unclear." Upon hearing this, the sect master looked very sad and gritted his teeth, saying, "The matter of the Ling family is related to someone with high authority in the Yi Empire. It is not something we can get involved in. As for the noble lady of the Ling family, she is currently a disaster. Our Ling Inc. cannot get entangled in this." While speaking, the grand interjected, "Besides this, there is another strange matter. Tell me, last night in a small canyon near the Shinal mountain range, an aura of the profound general realm was sensed. According to what the sect disciples have investigated, this profound heaven realm aura likely indicates a recent breakthrough." Upon hearing this, the elder widened his eyes and frowned, saying loudly, "Could it be that there are young casual cultivators nearby seeking opportunities around the Shinal mountain range and then breaking through to the profound general realm?" The grand elders then raised his hand and replied, "I don't know." At that time the disciple did not dare to approach to investigate. He only sensed this aura from a distance. At this point the sect master was filled with energy, clenched his fists and grinned with delight. "Perhaps we can have this unfamiliar genius represent our Ling Inc. to participate in the demon sealing gathering and then compete for a quota for our Ling insect." Hearing this, the elders murmured, "Master, this idea is good." The young profound general, although not considered the top genius, still had the potential to make it onto the demon sealing list. Indeed, the heavens are helping our Ling insect. After a brief silence, the grand elder stepped forward and shilly asked, "Master, what if that person already has a sect?" The sect master turned his face away. "If the person is a disciple of a major sect, then it's fine, but if they are a disciple of a minor sect..." At this point his expression suddenly darkened. "In that case we will destroy his sect, ensuring he stays completely with our Ling insect. You will handle this personally." The grand elder's expression also darkened and he clasped his hands together to accept the order. Back in the grand hall of the divine immortal sect, the system display showed using 10,000 sect points to draw 10 times. After 10 draws, Wang Fong received January 10th th of value cultivation, the self-created swordsmanship of Igu Chang immortal flying from heaven, 1 if of Sherman Shu Shu cultivation, the profound skill of Sherman Shu Shu blossom light sword Da, as well as 210 of Yao's cultivation and Yao's profound skill bright skill. Having obtained all the rewards, he was incredibly delighted. The system transfers all the cultivation and profound skills received into the host. As soon as he finished speaking, all the spiritual weapon orbs created from the reward sequentially flowed into Wang Fong's body. He tightly closed his eyes, relaxed, and slowly absorbed all the essence of power into his body. After a while he had absorbed all the power and opened his eyes with a smile. Then Wang Fong immediately raised 2 fingers, generating a stream of sword chi. Without hesitation, Wang Fong unleashed an immortal flying from heaven attack forward. Since this was a profound skill of Yiguang, as he executed the move, an image of Yu Chang appeared beside him. From the sword she released sharp swords emerged, which meant he had successfully tested Igu Chang's technique. Next he used the profound skill blossom light sword of Sherman Shu Shu. Thousands of invisible swords shot up into the sky, and beside him was also the figure of Sherman Shu Shu. Then on his 2 fingers pinching an ice flower, Wang Fong thrust forward. Instantly huge blocks of ice shot out in succession, which was the profound skill of Yu bright jade skill. Wang Fong stood on top of the chair, spreading his arms wide. The young man used a stream of ice spiritual weapon, causing shards of ice to shatter and fly into the air. After trying all the profound skills and with spiritual energy continuously surging, Wang Fong smiled. "From now on my master will be the strongest in The entire Divine Immortal Sect shifted to Wang Fang's dilapidated house where the Grand Elder of the Ling insect sat on a cliff staring down at the white aura surrounding the house. He smiled. He there is indeed the breath of a strong profound general realm early stage in this mountain valley. After saying that, the Grand Elder jumped from the cliff down to the young man's house. He approached the door, stared at the sign and murmured, Divine Immortal Sect. Our Lingen sect is the largest sect outside the Sha mountain range, yet we wouldn't dare use the name Divine Immortal. Is his face dark and he grimaced in displeasure. This tiny sect has actually taken this thatched house as their stronghold and dares to commit such a great taboo. They truly do not know how to live or die. While murmuring, something suddenly attacked, shattering a large stone. Next, suddenly the monstrous hand of Sha the great demon appeared, breaking through the house and aiming directly at the Grand Elder. Caught off guard, he stood frozen for 5 seconds. The Grand Elder stared intently at the punch. A moment later he was struck squarely by the eerie hand, flying away several dozen meters, but it was not over. The eerie hand continued to attack him, punching a massive rock in front of him. The eerie hand used all its strength to press the Grand Elder against the rock, the immense force causing the rock to crack gradually. Moments later the Grand Elder was completely buried in the rock. After that the air slowly dissipated, leaving only a dense white mist surrounding the Grand Elder. He was in pain, his eyes rolling back as he screamed like a madman, Hey, why is my body on this side but my head on the other? The Grand Elder shouted angrily, Impudent, I am the Grand Elder of the Ling Inked. If you dare to touch me, Ling Inked will definitely make it so you can't die and can't live. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Fang and Xenia the great demon stepped forward together, gritting their teeth and saying, Ling Inked, I have never heard of it. Tell me, why do you insult our Divine Immortal Sect? The Grand Elder clenched his teeth, beads of sweat pouring down his face, and angrily shouted at the young man, Divine Immortal Sect, you do people are from a sect as insignificant as this bite of food, a small sect with a thatched house as its base. How can you be strong enough to injure me severely? With just one palm strike at the very least you must be at the entry phase realm. Wang Fang, seeing the bitter expression of the Grand Elder, smirked and said, Our Divine Immortal Sect always relies on virtue to win over others, allowing them to submit willingly before we even speak. Finishing his words, the Ca Great Demon summoned his Z hand and shouted loudly, Tisk tisk, dare to insult my Divine Immortal Sect in front of the Sect Master, truly unaware of your own mortality. After saying that, the Great Demon placed his hand over the Grand Elder, causing him to flinch in fear. The Great Demon exerted a bit of strength, lifting both the boulder and the Grand Elder into the air. If you don't want that stone to become your grave, I suggest you obediently submit and speak. The Grand Elder heard this and was terrified, grinding his teeth so hard that he felt his molars might break. Speak of winning people over with virtue and remain silent means submission. This is clearly a threat. My name is Chon Fong, the Grand Elder of the Lingen Sect, the largest sect outside the Shinal Mountain range. I am here because I want to investigate the aura of the profound general realm which had previously appeared in this mountain valley. Wan Fang was taken aback upon hearing this, thinking to himself, isn't this the aura of the profound general realm? When Ling Fu broke through to the profound general realm before, what do you need to investigate that aura for? The Grand Elder frowned at the question and replied with some effort, the demon sealing gathering is approaching. Narlingen still does not have a disciple at the profound general realm, so we cannot compete for a position on the demon sealing list. Therefore we can only seek talented disciples from outside and bring them back to the sect. Wan Fang eyes whiten in surprise. Demon sealing gathering, what is that? The Grand Elder was somewhat surprised at Wan Fang's question. You don't know? The young man shook his head vigorously. HPH, it is quite normal for a small, ruthless and disrespectful sects like this not to know about the demon sealing gathering. Seeing the Grand Elder fall silent, the scene Sha Great Demon punched the elder and shouted furiously, stop rambling and just speak. The demon sealing gathering is a convention organized to suppress the seal of the Sienna Great Demon who slaughtered the Empire 1,000 years ago. The gathering is also known as the 10-year festival of the Yahui Empire because the scene Sha Great Demon is extremely terrifying. The demon energy emanating from him is very pure. Even though he has been sealed, he still EX demon energy, causing the area where the scene Sha Great Demon is sealed to be contaminated with demon energy. Therefore the Emperor organizes the gathering and calls for all strong sect within the empire to eliminate the demon beasts that have been contaminated by demon energy. This is a move to weaken the power of the scene Sha Great Demon. However, this time the Yahi Emperor has decreed that only young disciples should participate. As a result, All the sects are frantically training their disciples to identify geniuses and compete for top 2 ranks on the demon's ceiling list. Upon hearing this, Wang Feng tightly shut his eyes and chuckled. It must be said that your gaze is indeed sharp. In a sea of people you immediately identified the main participant of the demon's ceiling gathering. What do you mean by the main participant? At that moment the great demon sat down next to the Grand Elder, placed his hand on his chest and clarified, the demon's ceiling gathering is organized specifically for me. The Grand Elder was a bit surprised when he heard what organization is for you. As soon as he finished speaking he realized, widening his eyes, could it be that you are? Before he could finish the scene, Sha Great Demon sat down, bringing his face close to the Grand Elder's and grinned maliciously. That's right, I am the scene Sha Great Demon for whom you were organizing this special gathering. Wang Feng chuckled at the scene before him and thought to himself, to make a person the master of a great empire so apprehensive, even going so far as to organize a demon ceiling gathering once every 10 years. It's clear that the Scene Sha Great Demon is certainly not as simp as he appears. After pondering for a moment, Wai Fong glanced over and asked, how could you escape the seal of the Emperor? Upon hearing this, the Scene Sha Great Demon turned and smiled confidently. Over the years I have created a splitting spell. What he sealed now is merely a clone that I made. So what is the demon ceiling list? The Grand Elder was startled when he heard the mention of the demon ceiling list and immediately explained, the demon ceiling list is the ranking of the demon ceiling gathering based on the number of demon beasts killed that were invaded by demon energy. The demon ceiling list used to consist of older strong individuals, but this time it is only the ranking of the younger generation. Upon hearing this, the young man widened his eyes in surprise. As he suddenly came up with an idea, he snapped his fingers and whispered, is it a competition among young disciples? Then perhaps this demon ceiling gathering can help me complete my mission of taking on an apprentice. Thinking of this, Wang Fong turned to the Grand Elder and asked in a low voice, how much longer until the demon ceiling gathering? Less than a month. Upon hearing this, the young man looked up at the sky, tightly closed his eyes and smiled slightly. Less than a month, that should be enough. At that moment the Grand Elder suddenly put on a gentle expression and grinned. My friend, everything that should be known has been known. Can you let me go now? As soon as the Grand Elder finished speaking, Wang Fong stepped in front of him, glaring and grinning slightly. This deity asks you what will happen if you find that young man of profound general realm. Upon hearing this, the Grand Elder broke out in a cold sweat. Two teeth clashed repeatedly, struggling to utter each word. Take him back to the sect. At this moment Wang Fong's gaze slowly closed. What happens next? The Grand Elder felt a pang of anxiety. Upon hearing this question, sweat pouring down like rain. After a while the Grand Elder still did not speak. The Scene Sha Great Demon pressed his ziri arm down, exerting force on the man. Are you going to speak or not? At this point the Grand Elder was in a difficult situation. Speaking would mean death, and not speaking would also mean death. So he looked up, tears streaming down, and said, if he belongs to a small sect we will destroy his sect, and then cut off his future. Upon hearing this, Wang Fong had nothing more to say, turned his back and left, raising his finger to command. The Sha Great Demon killed the Grand Elder. After saying this, the Great Demon tightened his eerie hand around the rock, then he squeezed tightly, crushing the Grand Elder along with it. In an instant a loud explosion occurred, shaking the entire mountain range. After the deed was done, the system display immediately showed, congratulations, the subordinate Sha Great Demon of the host has killed a strong entry phase realm. The reward received is 500 sect points. After eliminating the Grand Elder of Ling Inc., the Scene Sha Great Demon continued to express his intentions to Wang Fong. Is this the virtue of the big sect of the Empire? It's even worse than us, sect master. Since we have this feud with the Lingan sect, why don't we just strike directly at his sect? Upon hearing Scene Sha Great Demon's suggestion, the young man pondered with his eyes half closed. If Lingan sect is capable of doing such things, then they aren't good people either. Moreover, if they find out that we killed the Grand Elder of the Lingan sect, I'm afraid the Divine Immortal sect will continuously face troubles. After thinking for a moment, he decided to agree. Fine, then let's go see what happens. The scene shifts to E City, E imperial capital, a bustling and magnificent metropolis. This below, thousands of fairies are moving about, and within the city there is a grand hall, guarded by two stone Jilin statues, which is the Marquis of Chanlin's residence. Inside the main hall a man is resting his chin on his hand, intensely staring at the scroll in his hand. Deep in thought he is Linen Zong, Marquis of Chonglin. An old man with white hair and beard approaches, and upon seeing him Linen Zong immediately asks Wang, old man, why hasn't that kid Ling Yuni returned yet? I told him to go kill the remnants of the Ling, so why is he taking so long? Hearing Linen Shan's question, the old man Wang bowed his head, closed his eyes tightly, and replied, report Marquis, the subordinate has already sent someone to inform young Master Uni. Young Master Uni must be indulging in play, he may already be on his way back. Suddenly the token on the old man Wan's body emitted a stream of golden light. He took the token, held it up in front of him, and happily said, Marquis, news has come, and it must be that young Master Uni is afraid you would wait too long, so he has sent a message to report to you first. Hearing Wang old man's words, Linen Shong frowned, feeling a bit relieved. Looks like this little guy still has a bit of conscience, knowing that I worry about him. Quickly see what the talisman order has transmitted, what the little guy has said. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang old man smiled joyfully, using spiritual energy to activate the token. To see what he saw seemed to petrify him. His eyes wide open in shock, he stared at Linen Shong, trembling, and awkwardly called out, Marquis, what's the matter that you are so flustered? Has that little brat done something foolish? Young Master Uni is dead. Upon hearing this, Linen Shan felt as if struck by lightning. Stunned in disbelief, he erupted in a fit of rage, striking a powerful sword blow. His sword severed the dragon's head, blood splattering everywhere, dyeing the entire chamber red. After dealing with the dragon, his face was filled with evil energy, his sharp gaze staring directly ahead. The scene shifts outside Yaoi City of the Yai Empire, a massive fortress surrounding small houses. Above, a dark figure appeared, staring down at the bustling market. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a handsome young man, Lin Shun, the commander of the Imperial Guards. Suddenly in Lin Chan's line of sight, Linen Shank army appeared. He frowned, beads of sweat forming. This is when he looked down, he saw the dragon glaring forward, a red beam of light appearing in its pupils. Tan Shan was riding the dragon, radiating a white aura. All around him, behind him, was a multitude of soldiers as dense as ants, occupying the entire roadside. As they advanced, something suddenly caused him to halt. His expression darkened with anger. At that moment, Lin Chan jumped down from above right in front of Linen Shan, surprising him greatly. Lin Chan did not hesitate to thrust his sword forward. Marquis of Chonglin, Lin Tian Shong, do you know that mobilizing the Chonglin army from the Imperial City is a grave offense? Upon hearing this, Linen Shan covered his face in anger and shouted, I know that by doing this I have betrayed His Majesty's trust, but my only son has been killed in the Shurna mountain range, and I would rather die than live like this. After I avenge my son, I will surely kneel and confess my crimes to His Majesty. The young manly Qin Chen was taken aback and stepped back in shock, murmuring that Lin Yuni is the only rebellious son of the Marquis of Chonglin. I don't know who would be bold enough to do such a thing. At this point he looked up to the sky and unleashed a powerful roar. No one can stop me from bringing back Lin Chan. Do not force me to act against you. Lin Chan saw the fury in his eyes and stared back, sweating nervously. Suddenly a great hall appeared behind him, releasing a voice, let him go. The death of his son has driven into madness. Though he has been disrespectful, it can be forgiven on emotional grounds. Tell him to seek me after he returns. Hearing those words, Lin Chin clasped his hands and bowed in obedience. The young man then stepped aside, extending his arm to let Linen Shong pass. You may go, and when you return you should come to see His Majesty to accept your punishment. Upon hearing this, Lin Tian Shan raised his face to the sky, hands clasped in respect. Thank you, Your Majesty. Tishan Shan has committed an offense. After I bring my son back, I will definitely come to accept my punishment from Your Majesty, no matter what the punishment is. Tian Zong is willing to accept it. After speaking, Lin Tian Zong led his troops away from the city gate. Lin Chin sat high above, looking down in a daze. It's hard to avoid a storm of bloodshed. Shifting scenes to the Lingon Sect. In front of us is a small manor located within the Lingon Sect's grounds. At that moment, Wan Fong and Yayu appeared, leaping down from above and landing on the stone pillar in front of the manor. The young man looked down and noticed a group of people bullying a seemingly fragile young man. The young man was covered in injuries, clutching his head and desperately shouting, I don't know how he have offended the young master. I Beg the young master to calm down. As he finished speaking, a seductive voice came from someone's lips. This young master thinks you look rather handsome, especially reward you with a kiss. It turned out to be a pervert. He looked up at the sky with a strange smile, yet you avoided it. Tell me, are you looking for trouble? This pervert is Chun Zong, young master of the Lingon sect. After that perverted youth, 3 more young men appeared with square, round, and triangular faces, looking down and mockingly, hey. Thank you parents for giving birth to me so ugly, otherwise sooner or later we would have to bloom at our backsides if we weren't the ugly trio of the Lingon sect. How could the master choose us to serve the young master? The pervert Chin Shan crazily lashed the whip on his back. A servant disciple is just a servant disciple. After a few hits you can't take it anymore. Truly a useless person who was not valued. Wan Fong, watching from a distance, felt disgusted and broke out in a sweat. He thought to himself that this young master of the Lingon sect is so flamboyant and violent. It can be seen that the Lingon sect is nothing good either. At that moment suddenly the system notification board rang out. Congratulations host, you have discovered a purest genius. The young man was utterly shocked, his eyes widening in surprise. He then looked down at the pervert who was dancing around wildly and became furious, thinking to himself, system is the purest genius you mentioned really him? At that moment the system panel clearly displayed Chin Shunk face accompanied by the words the Purus genius is one FWN. Seeing the result on the system grimaced as if he had just stepped in something unpleasant. Is it really him? The system then showed an image of Chin Shan grabbing Lei by the hair, followed by a scene of Chin Shan puckering his lips seductively, leaning close to Li's cheek. This is in the final moment the system scanned Lui's face and displayed the words he is the purest genius. Wan Fong's eyes widened as he stared down, feeling a bit curious. He's the purest genius, then why is he being bullied like this? After a moment of contemplation Wan Fong came to a sudden realization. Could it be that he's likely, though immortal, he possesses a pes physique? Concluding his thoughts, Wan Fong quickly descended and shouted, stop that and shut your filthy mouth. Chen Shan, hearing this, glanced over. Then the pervert gravely his hair tightly and raised his voice. Which blind fool dares to tell this young master to shut up? However, when this per saw Wan Fong's expression, he immediately acted cute. He then released Luhi and crazily rushed forward. It seems that today's kiss must be taken by this young master. Wan Fong, without a hint of hesitation, immediately called for Yao Yu. Upon receiving the command, Yao swiftly appeared right beside him. Wan Fong ordered, slap him in the mouth for me. The more chaotic his teeth and lips are, the better. As soon as he finished speaking, Yao slowly walked forward with a cold expression, her whole body exuding a powerful chill. Chen Shan's 2 subordinates couldn't help but drool when they saw the girl. I never expected there could be such a beautiful woman in this world. Hearing those compliments, Chin Zong was extremely angry. His whole body trembled. He glared with his bloodshot eyes ahead, then turned to give orders to his 3 subordinates. No one is allowed to be more beautiful than this young master. Capture this girl. This young master must make her suffer. 3 young men, square, round and triangle, rushed to surround Yao. Beauty being in the hands of the 3 ugly ones of the Lingon sect is your fortune, because we definitely will not waste your beauty. In short, you won't be able to escape, and at least you can smile as you descend into the underworld. The triangular-faced guy stepped forward, sticking out his tongue and making a twisted face. Anyway, offending the young master and being played to death is nothing new. You won't be the first. Wan Fong, standing nearby, heard these words and was dumbfounded, thinking to himself, as the sect master, I don't even dare to tease you. These people really are looking for trouble. At this moment Yu stepped forward and touched the cheek of the triangular-faced guy. However, the young man was still oblivious and willingly offered his face to be touched. In the blink of an eye his face was frozen by the cold energy, followed by square-faced guy. The outcome was similar in the end. Round-faced guy was also frozen by the cold energy. In the blink of an eye the entire bodies of the 3 young men were frozen, but that wasn't the end. Yayu generously bestowed a sword chi upon the 3, causing their heads to be severed from their bodies. The 3 headless young men staggered and fell forward. 3 heads fell in front of Chinan, causing him to panic and shout, you dare to kill the disciples of my Lining sect? As soon as he finished speaking, Yao lunged forward, glaring coldly at the pervert. Then with a light touch on his cheek he was immediately frozen. Let me tell you, they are just dead things along with you. The pervert, with half of his face frozen, opened his mouth in fear just as Yao was about to give another light touch to finish him off. Suddenly a hand from someone blocked the attack. It turned out to be Lei unexpectedly. Even with just a light touch, Li's arm was already half frozen. One Feng was amazed at the sight. Li's solemn expression showed that the ice on his arm had been shattered by Yayu and fell away. You frowned, staring intensely at Lei, and pressed you would save him after he insulted you like that. The pervert looked up, putting on a noble-looking sneer. Lehigh, hurry up and kill them. This young master will reward you with 10 kisses. As soon as he finished speaking, Lehigh suddenly grabbed the pervert by the throat and he immediately coughed up blood. Without a moment's hesitation, Lehigh tightened his grip, lifting the pervert high, causing his eyes to bleed and his veins to show clearly in red. Lehigh, you are so bold. Hearing this, Lehigh looked at the pervert with a disgusting expression. His eyes filled with hatred and 2 dim red lights appeared in his pupil. I originally planned to keep you until tomorrow, but now you want to seek death to prevent you from dying at someone else's hands. Has left me with regret for the rest of my life. With that, He used all his strength to crush his neck. A crack sounded from it. After dealing with him, Lei casually dropped Shernan to the ground. I just took action a step ahead. This pervert is ugly and offensive when alive, and even in death he looks horrifically purple. One Phone stared at Lei, smiling to himself. It seems this extraordinary genius is not as simple as I imagined. After resolving his conflict, Lei stood with his hands on his hips and smiled in relief. The young man placed his hand on his forehead, then ran his fingers through his hair, revealing his good-look face. At this moment he turned his head and secretly called for the system. Wisely he called an extraordinary genius. The system table immediately displayed the background investigation of Lu. He requires 1000 sect points. One Phone saw this, and his face darkened with anger. Damn it, the system is becoming more and more like a robbery. He cursed, but still pressed the agree to investigate button. Le's real name is Le Gong. He is at the peak of the strong profound emperor realm after an unexpected death or remnant soul fused with a supreme treasure gaining rebirth. Seeing the result, One Phone pondered. I've heard that a strong profound emperor realm expert can defeat an entire empire alone. If his previous life had such strength, why didn't he fight back when he was bullied? The system table displayed the people who bullied him will mysteriously disappear the next day, and the entire Lingon sect will not notice. After reading these lines, One Phone realized the so-called inability to judge others by appearances. The sea cannot be measured. He is indeed a ruthless person. After thinking, One Phone continued to ask the system, so what is his current cultivation level? After Le's rebirth due to the remnant soul fusing with the supreme treasure, his talent has significantly increased. Since his awakening it has only been a year, yet he has already broken through to the entry phase realm. I didn't expect that I could Li Ching for a year to break through to the entry phase. There are indeed people who can do it. Lehigh in the past could reach the terrifying cultivation of the profound emperor realm peak, and now his talent has greatly increased. His future is even more unpredictable. No wonder the system praised him as a purest genius. It seems that only the divine immortal sect can accommodate a potential dragon like him. After thinking for a moment, One Phone turned to Lin. Opened the conversation. You just killed the young master of the Ling Inc. This place can no longer hold you. You might as well follow me. I guarantee your safety. When He heard this, he glanced over, his entire being emanating a dense aura of evil energy. What qualifications do you have? Wang Fl closed his eyes tightly and calmly responded, based on my knowledge of your background, Lu Gong. Upon hearing this name, Lei instinctively turned his head back. He stared intently at Wang Fong and Yao, thinking to himself, in the Lingon sect or even in this Shurna mountain range there are fundamentally no strong profound sovereign realm beings, but now a master like that is respectfully following this person. Moreover, this person seems to bear no ill will towards me. I can investigate the situation first. If things don't seem right, I will use my ultimate move later. After contemplating for a moment, Lehigh decided to turn around and smile at Wang Fong. He brushed away the dirt from his hands and agreed to follow the young man. As he was about to leave, a loud shout suddenly came from behind. Who dares to touch my beloved son Shin Xin? It turned out to be the sect master. At this moment he was slowly approaching, trembling as he looked at Chin Xian's body. The sect master broke down in tears flowing down his face. Chin and my son. The sect master stepped forward to support Chin Xian's head, his face darkening, tears falling continuously. He glanced over at Yao, growling, the 3 ugly men from Ling Yuan's sect that I sent to protect Sinir were killed by you, weren't they? Upon hearing this, Yayu looked over, his face showing no emotion, and replied indifferently, that's right. Upon hearing this, the sect master exploded in fury, gritting his teeth and shouting, that means you must be the one who killed Sina, right? If that's the case, don't even think about leaving my Ling Yuan sect. The subordinates of the Ling Yuan sect began to murmur among themselves. Is there really someone this beautiful in the world, such a beauty, and yet she's doomed to perish? What a pity, it's a shame she killed the young master. Amid their chatter, Lei stepped forward, placing his hand on his chest with a smile as if confessing the one who killed him was. But before he could finish, One Fong suddenly approached, shoving Lei back and cutting him off. What do you still want to demand? A life for a life? The SE master trembling stared at Yayu with bloodshot eyes, and yelled, yes, as long as she gives me another son, then it could be considered as life for life. It turns out this old man is even more depraved than his son. Folks, hearing those words, One Fong gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face, thinking, damn it, I almost thought he loved his son to death, but in the end he's just an old lecher blinded by beauty. At the same time, the Ling Yuan sect's subordinates shouted in unison, master is wise, master is wise. You, infuriated by their words, glared ahead with icy cold eyes, her anger palpable. Do you want me to grant you death? One Fong didn't bother to stop him and actually supported Yao Yu's decision. If he was in a hurry to see his beloved son, then let him have it. The Episode 3 Sect Master clasped his hands behind his back and strode toward Yao Yu. He placed his hand on his chest, squinting as he spoke, I cherish beauty. To avoid disturbing the harmony, why don't I strike a palm and see if the beauty can dodge it? After saying this, he glanced at the body of his son. If the beauty can dodge it, I'll consider my son's death and injustice. Then he made a twisted expression, his cheeks flushed. If the beauty cannot dodge it, then you must give me another son. Upon hearing this, Yayu expression darkened, her pupils emitted a glint of light, and she remained silent. The sect master continued to grin wickedly, his gaze shifting toward the hand that was gathering streams of spiritual weapon. Since the beauty has not objected, then I consider you have agreed with that. The sect master waved his hand sideways, the spiritual weapon gathering densely, and he fixed a sharp gaze on Yao. Then he used the profound skill Ling Yen palm. From his palm strike, the pressure of a gigantic hand appeared, directly attacking you. The stream of spiritual weapon from his hand was slowly approaching Yu's face. In an instant, that aura seemed to completely engulf Yao, gathering and lifting her into the air. At this moment, the pressure of the sect master's gigantic hand had coiled into a huge sphere, with abundant streams of spiritual weapon continuously pouring out around it. Suddenly a drop of blood fell from the sky. More and more drops of blood appeared, a rain of blood with drops sharp as needles continuously falling into the sect master's spiritual weapon sphere. Suddenly a massive bloody hand was imprinted on the ground behind a white smoke. The disciples of Lingen Se laughed heartily at the sight, chatting, no wonder he's the master. This Lingen needle rain move is amazing, wrapping the opponent in the palm cloud, draining their blood and flesh. So it turns out the divine soul's erratic demeanor of the master is all to enchant beautiful women. Using one move to kill the master is being too hasty. At least he should enjoy before killing. What does it matter if she's a stunning beauty? The sect master finished resolving the issue and sat down next to Chinon. Blo me dare to kill my son, then there is only the path of death. At that moment Lei turned to show curiosity and asked Wengen, so you just watched her get killed by Qinwen? Hearing this, the young man closed his eyes tightly and smiled. Which of your eyes saw her dead? Just then something fell from the sky right into the sect master's spiritual weapon. A subordinate rushed over, shouting, master, the corpse that fell from the sky belongs to our Ling. Inked. Indeed, lying in a pool of blood was another man, not you at all. The sect master, seeing the corpse, widened his eyes, sweating. Impossible. Where is she? As soon as he finished speaking, from behind him Yayu stood on a stone pillar speaking, causing the sect master to involuntarily turn to look. I dodged your palm strike just now. Having said that, you charged straight at the sect master, a cold energy gathering in her palm. Let's see if you can dodge the strike of mine now. The old sect master, filled with resentment and anger, immediately thrust his palm forward, shouting, I don't believe you can really be that strong. His strike hadn't even landed yet when Yao already delivered a blow, shattering the energy gathered in his hand. In an instant, a massive block of ice appeared, intercepting the attack of the old sect master, leaving him utterly surprised and causing him to stumble backward. Then Yu's block of ice transformed into sharp ice spikes aimed directly at the old SE master's face. Now in his pupil the image of 3 sharp points from the ice spikes was clearly visible, and the outcome was far from pleasant. Thousands of ice spikes pierced through the body of the old sect master, blood splattering everywhere. Thus father and son were reunited on the motherland, with the old sect master paying the price with a cold death, his entire body frozen. Once you finished, she landed and walked towards the group of disciples from Lingen's sect, causing them to shiver and scream, master, is master going to die like this? Master is a peak entry phase expert, yet he was killed by this stunning woman with a single strike. What should we do now? Hearing the disciples' words, One Fong placed his hand on his chest and smiled, saying, "I in the name of Master of the Divine Immortal Sect declare the dissolution of Lingon's sect." From this moment after speaking, Wen Fong and Yayu flew away from the Lingon sect. Before leaving he proclaimed, "From now on the Lingon sect will no longer exist." A young man looked up, watching Wen Fong's figure gradually fade away. He held his face in anguish and trembled as he shouted, "The God of Death has finally left." Finishing his words, the young man turned his face aside, sighing. Does he think that by threatening a few words the Lingon sect will dissolve? He pointed at the corpse of the old sect master, sneering. With both the master and young man master dead, for the future of the Lingon sect we must quickly choose a new master. Hearing this, another man looked up at the sky, trembling all over. There will be no next master for the Lingon sect. The first young man glanced over instinctively by Elder. What do you mean by that? The man bit his lip, tightly clenched his teeth, beads of sweat dripping down his face showing clear fear. Without the Lingon sect, where will we find a successor master? As soon as he finished speaking, a giant ice block descended from the sky right in front of the disciples. In the blink of an eye, that massive iceberg had completely destroyed the Lingon sect. Not yet satisfied, Yayu further added a few more large icebergs. The disciples now had no hope of escape. The death bestowed by the stunning beauty was a chilling one. After the chaos, only that man was left alive. He looked at the ruins before him, cradled his head and screamed, "The Lingon sect has been completely annihilated." Suddenly a loud voice called out from behind him, "Where is Qin Fong?" The young man, trembling, glanced back and thought, "Is that terrifying figure back again?" But this time it was not Wang Fong but Lin Tin Chong. He looked down at the young man from the sky with a fierce face full of evil energy. Seeing Lin Shan, the young man calmed down a bit and murmured, "That's right, the God of Death must have killed Qin Fong and then left. He wouldn't come back for Qin Fong." Lin Tian Chong landed in front of the young man and asked in a stern voice, "Are you Qin Fong?" The young man was startled, fell back and exclaimed, "No, no, Master. Qin Fong of Ling Insect is already dead." Lin Chainan felt as if struck by lightning. Why? Died in surprise. "I am the Marquis of Changlin of the E Empire. Do you know who killed my son Lin Yuni?" The young man, upon hearing this, was utterly horrified, his mouth gaping, sweat pouring down like rain. "What? Who dares to be so bold? Who would lay a hand on the son of a marquis from a country?" After thinking for a moment, the young man wiped his sweat away with his hand and smirked lightly as if plotting something. Then he knelt down and bowed his head before Lin Tin Shan, shouting, "Marquis, I know who killed your son." At this, Lin Tong's eyes whitened with hatred. "Speak." The young man glared back and flashed a sly smile. "The one who killed the little marquis is also the culprit behind the murder of my master from the Lingon sect." Lin Tunung's gaze became filled with anger. "Who is that person?" The young man looked up, thinking to himself, "If you have destroyed the Lingon sect, then I must destroy you as well." So he raised his head and bluntly replied, "The one who killed the little marquis claims to be the master of the Divine Immortal Sect." The scene shifted to the Divine Immortal Sect, where the great demon Xenia was sitting outside a dilapidated house, playing with birds and catching butterflies. Seeing something made the great demon whiten its eyes and hurriedly release the poor bird. It turned out that Wang Fun and Yao had returned from Lingon sect. The young man walked while yawning, saying, It's really tiring to be on business trips." Shen X, a great demon, was fearless, but upon seeing Wang Fong he clasped his hands and bowed in respect. "Welcome, sect master, back from destroying the Lingon sect." In triumph, as soon as he finished speaking, a foot landed on the ground. It turned out to be Lei, who also returned with Wang Fong from Lingon sect. The young man glanced over and smiled, asking Lehigh, "What have you thought about? Do you want to join my Divine Immortal Sect?" He looked closely at the sign Divine Immortal Sect of W phone and secretly thought, even though in my previous life I was a great power at the profound Emperor Realm Peak and established a sect, I wouldn't dare to claim the name Divine Immortal, yet this little sect in such a remote place dares to carry such a name. It's ridiculous. After pondering, he opened his eyes, smiled at the young man and said, TSK, can a sparrow and a little swallow understand the will of a swan? This trip with you is indeed a waste of my time." Shen Xa, the great demon, exclaimed little guy. After hearing this a moment, he used his eerie hand to grip his face tightly, shouting, "I advise you to speak properly with the SE master." The eerie hand completely covered Li's face, leaving only one eye visible, filled with evil energy. Wang Fong smiled and said, "Even if your past life was at the peak of the profound Emperor realm, in the end you were still just at the entry phase realm. Engaging in a fight here won't benefit you at all." Upon hearing this, Shen Xa, the great demon, retracted his Z hand, staring intently at Lehigh, thinking to himself is he the reincarnation of the profound Emperor Realm Peak. Even at my highest point, facing such an existence feels like confronting an insignificant ant with no resistance at all. At this point Wang Fong took out the Divine Immortal Sect token and held it in front of him. Then he turned to Lei and said, "Don't be in a rush to refuse, wait until we're inside to answer. There will still be time before leaving." Wang Fong instructed Shen Xa, "Stay here for now and be on guard against any remnants of the Ling insect causing trouble at the Divine Immortal Sect." "Yes, Sect Master." After speaking, Wang Fong opened the entrance to the secret realm. Shortly after they stepped into the secret realm of the Divine Immortal Sect, he entered, looked around at the scenery and thought to himself, "Although a strong profound Emperor Realm can establish a small world, even when I was at the peak of the strong profound Emperor Realm in my previous life, I could not create such a vast and complete small world." The Divine Immortal Sect, daring to use the term Divine Immortal as a name, let this sovereign see what marvels are in this sect. He stepped forward into the grand hall. Streams of aura continually flowed out from within. Wang Fong stood next to the main chair, turned and said, "This sovereign knows you possess a treasure, but it is not yet worthy of my attention. I have only one goal with you, which is to join my sect." Upon hearing this, he closed his eyes and looked up at the sky. "What if I don't join?" Hearing that, Wang Fong raised two fingers and lightly snapped, signaling Elder Igu Chang and Elder Sherman Chua, "Please step forward for ward." As soon as he finished his sentence, Igu Chang and Sherman Chua immediately appeared before them. Lehigh was taken aback and exclaimed, "Are you trying to use numbers to pressure me into joining?" The man lowered his head, closed his eyes tightly and smiled, "I just want to show you the strength of the Divine Immortal Sect." Upon hearing this, he raised his hand in front of him and smirked with a mischievous smile. "Using treasures to create ultimate techniques, even if three strong profound sovereign realm experts teamed up, I could still retreat safely." As soon as he finished speaking, a blade suddenly appeared, scraping against the floor, producing a spark. Guang and Sherman Chua both felt a shiver run down their spines. Lehigh instinctively glanced over and was taken aback in shock. A young man was dragging his sword, slowly making his way towards Lehigh. So what if four strong profound sovereign realm experts teamed up? This young man was the sword demon Yen Sharon. He stepped forward, clasped his hands, bowed his head and greeted Wang Fong. "Your pays respects to the SEF character traits of Yen San. Peak cultivation in profound sovereign realm. Profound skill is the 15 killer sword. Ultimate technique profound weapon is the 13 Ningu sword. Ultimate grade. I never expected that this random summoning opportunity would summon this sword demon. Yen San is the number one swordsman. Sword Dao demon ceiling in the ancient novel X. The sword of X. Young master, his wish while alive was to have a decisive duel with the sword Emperor Sieja Fong. Yen San's lifelong ultimate skill is the third swords of death. Later he not only created the 14th transformation but also established the 15th sword move representing destruction and death when seeking to duel Cia Fong. He could originally have killed Cia Fong with the 15th sword move, but he realized that this sword move only brought destruction and death. To completely eradicate this terrifying sword move, he chose to cut his own throat. As soon as Lia Yanan, his face lit up with excitement, staring wide-eyed. "Wow, is that the profound sovereign realm peak?" After saying this, the young man turned to Mch Wang Fong. "You are a master, but only have cultivation in the profound sovereign realm. Do you deserve to be a master?" As soon as Lei finished speaking, a sharp sword point emitted a golden light aimed straight ahead. It turned out that the blade originated from Yen Sharon, pointed directly at Li's head. It seems the 15th sword of death needs to be unleashed now. At the same time, Wang Fong stepped forward and placed a hand on Yen Sharon's shoulder. "Yen Elder, don't be hasty. It's not just the peak of the profound sovereign realm, is it? As long as I want it, I can have it at any time now." Wang Fong's points have reached a total of 40,000 points. The young man looked at the result, smiled and thought, "I never expected to accumulate 40,000 sect points so quickly. This time I can spend freely." So Wang Fong immediately said, "System, use 10,000 SEC points to exchange for a chance to draw 10 times. Start the draw directly." In these 10 draws, Wang Fong obtained January 10th th of the cultivation of G, 1/10 of the cultivation of Yen Shiran, 1/10 of the cultivation of Sherman Shu, and 1/10 of the cultivation of Iguang. He received use profound skill flower transference to Jade and Yen San's profound skill life stealing 5 swords. Upon receiving the rewards, Wang Fong immediately called out system transfer 1/10th of Yen Shi's cultivation into this host. As soon as he finished speaking, a radiant area of light enveloped Wang Fong's entire body. Then a plume of white smoke rose passing through Lehigh. Wang Fong emerged from the smoke, and behind him the pressure of a profound sovereign realm peak appeared. The system screen also announced congratulations on the host's cultivation reaching the peak of the profound sovereign realm. Seeing Wang Fong's breakthrough in an instant, he was extremely surprised. Was he really hiding his true cultivation level all along, or can it be said that he could genuinely advance to the peak of the profound sovereign realm in the blink of an eye? Wang Fo, noticing the expression on the young man's face, chuckled. Do you have anything to say now? He covered his face in frustration and shouted, HPH. Even if the divine immortal sect has 4 masters in the profound sovereign realm, I'm just a fish caught in a net against all of you. Suddenly Wang Fong raised a finger to interrupt He no, you have overlooked one master in the profound sovereign realm. Upon hearing this, Li's eyes widened in shock. Is there still a master? Who is it? Wang Fong immediately pointed his hand toward Yuk Chang. Is this Yi elder here? Upon seeing this, he extended his hand forward and shouted loudly, are you trying to deceive me? He is currently just at the nobility realm. Wang Fong shook his head and waved his finger rapidly, but he will soon become a master in the profound sovereign realm. Finishing his words, Wang Fong pointed his finger at Igu Chang's forehead. Today, I will show you the spatial enlightenment techniques of my divine immortal sect. Lehigh, upon hearing this, was completely skeptical. He placed his hand on his chest and said, are you joking with me? Even if I cultivated to the peak of the profound emperor realm, in my previous life I couldn't achieve the spatial enlightenment you speak of. The young man tightly closed his eyes, sighed and replied, just because you can't do it at the peak of the profound emperor realm doesn't mean that my true self at the profound sovereign peak can't. He thought to himself, I originally didn't intend to do it, but someone is forcing me to. Thus he had to go with the flow and immediately called out system transfer the cultivation of others into Igu Chang. A stream of green spiritual weapon continuously flowed into Igu Chang's forehead. After a while Igu Chang opened his eyes wide, his face radiated with brilliant light. In the next moment, streams of golden spiritual weapons continuously entered Yuk Chang's forehead. Feeling the immense power from those streams of spiritual weapons, Igu Chang looked up to the sky and began to absorb them. Smoke rising up. At that moment, the system display announced Igu Chang's cultivation has advanced to the early stage of the profound sovereign realm. After being upgraded in cultivation, Igu Chang stepped in front of Wang Fong, clasped his hands and bowed his head. Thank you, sect master. He let out a sigh of relief and replied, this matter is simple. Suddenly a foot approached. It turned out to be Sh Menchu. The young man stared intently at Igu Chang, a faint smile playing on his lips. Thanks to the blessings granted by the sect master, and now have an opponent of equal strength. At that moment Lei felt utterly embarrassed. His face darkened and sweat poured down like a summer rain as he muttered, he really can help this. She yelled. Her breakthrough to the early profound sovereign realm now add. Eyes from the 4 elders were fixed intently on Lei. Wang Fong stepped closer to Lei and stared at him closely. His entire being erupted with a powerful wave of spiritual weapon energy. With the 4 elders plus myself, the divine immortal sect has a total of 5 strong profound sovereign realm members at this point. Even if you fight desperately, it won't change anything. After saying this, Wang Fong pointed his finger at Lei's face. So how about joining my divine immortal sect? I can help you recover to your peak, even surpassing what you were before. Lehigh thought for a long time after hearing that. Then the young man narrowed his eyes and reluctantly replied, I have only joined your divine immortal sect for 10 years. After 10 years I will leave. Furthermore, you must not reveal any information about the treasure I possess. Upon hearing this, the young man smiled with delight and opened his hand. All right, I agree. He hand over the money to me. He tossed his coin pouch to Wang Fong and turned away, sighing. Immediately the system announcement chimed in. Congratulations, host has recruited an extraordinary genius. The reward received is 30,000 SEC points and 1 opportunity for a random summon. It was worth my risk in matching strength with the reincarnated profound emperor. This reward truly proves the old saying, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. The scene shifted to the Shinal mountain range, where a voice emerged from deep within the forest. Shinal mountain range is indeed a place of auspicious fun. A man placed his hand on his belly and spoke up, damn it, my stomach keeps rumbling. At that moment a gigantic demon beast appeared behind the young man, sneaking up on him from behind. But the young man was not afraid at all. Instead he smiled and said, another meal is coming to the net by itself. The young man turned to look at the beast, which was licking its tongue greedily. He was mute at that moment. The beast could no longer wait and immediately lunged towards the young man, its eyes glowing with fierce red energy. Mu Yun calmly drew his sword. A dark mass fell down as if the sky had been covered. Wait, that's not a beast blocking the sky, but arrows indeed. Just as he said, thousands of arrows suddenly descended from the sky, attacking the beast. In an instant the beast was adorned with a coat of arrows sticking all over its back, with extra arrows firmly embedded in the ground beside it. These arrows were shot by a group of soldiers who were none other than those of Lin and Shan. He sat upon his dragon, staring intently at the corpse of the beast. At that moment the arrows on the beast's corpse suddenly began to move. The next moment the beast unexpectedly sprang to its feet and the arrows on its back slowly fell down. In fact, the young man was accidentally pinned beneath the beast, so he used his sword to push against the beast's mouth and lifted it up to free himself. Lin and Xiang's dragon opened its mouth wide upon seeing this and then spat out a fireball ahead. Seeing the fireball about to land on the beast, the young man immediately swung his sword, severing the foot of the unfortunate beast. The fireball struck the beast's corpse, causing an explosion of fire that spread throughout the forest. From within the flames the foot of the beast emerged. The young man stood amidst the fire, firmly holding the sword that was embedded in the beast's foot. Smiling, he took a bite of flesh and then looked up, staring at Lin and Shong. Thank you, you have roasted the meat for me. Upon hearing the young man's teasing, old Tishan Shong smacked his hand down on his dragon's head. Without hesitation he pulled the dragon's head down, shouting, consider this a reward for you. Soon as he finished speaking, dragon scales appeared around his hand. The scales continuously gathered into his palm, forming a giant hand that emitted a brilliant golden light. Seeing this spectacle, the young man hurriedly withdrew his sword from the meat. The sword of the young man emitted a stream of energy. This energy spread over an area in the forest. Mu and Fei placed two fingers together, murmured a spell and pointed the sword up to the sky using the profound skill Heavenly Crimson Sword. Immediately a sword she was unleashed, aimed directly at Lin and Shank. Face the sword chief from the young man clashed violently with Lin and Shan's dragon-scaled hand. Lin and Zhang exerted all his strength to press down on Mun Fei's sword, causing the young man to widen his eyes and sweat. The force from Lin and Shang's hand was overwhelming, and in the blink of an eye Mun F's sword was completely deformed under the pressure. But that was not all. Lin Tianzong added a powerful punch that sent the young man flying several dozen meters away. From a distance the figure of the young man clad in black gradually approached, tightly gripping his useless sword. Moments later he tossed the sword's hilt aside, placed his hand on his forehead and smiled brightly. Fortunately I didn't throw up after eating the bear meat earlier, otherwise I would really have to replace the bear's leg. Losing another weapon would be too much of a loss. Upon hearing this Lin and Sh shot him an intense glare. Remarked Yun Elder, he is still young yet already possesses cultivation at the nobility realm. Appearing again in the Shino mountain range is Wang Fong of the Divine Immortal Sect. Right Elder Yin shook his head repeatedly. No, even if Wang Fong turns to ash I would recognize him, but he is truly not him. Yun, standing behind, trembled and said in a strained voice, just now you almost smashed me to death. Then he pointed at his sweaty face, looking extremely disheveled. You smashed my face, distorted my weapon, and the result is that you mistook me for someone else. The flames in the Shinal mountain range gradually extinguished, leaving ashes drifting in the wind. Lin and Sun's Jilin stepped forcefully on something. It turned out to be stepping on Mu Yun's back. Hey, I'm really not Wang Fong, why won't you let me go? Lin and Shong glared down and said firmly, although you are not Wang Fong who killed my son, the possibility that you are one of his disciples cannot be ruled out. Hearing this Mu Yun glanced back, 2 drops of sweat falling on his cheek. What, is it true that someone dares to kill the son of the Marquis of Chonglin in the Empire? Yari Lin and Zhang sat on his Jilin, arms crossed, demanding, telling, where is your master? Hearing this question Yun could only remained silent, unsure of what to say. Lin and Shil continued to glare and interrogate. In this area at the intersection of the 3 major empires, you refuse to reveal who your master is. Could it be that he is not from the empire? Yai. After hearing this Mu Yun glanced up as if hiding something, then he squinted and propped himself up with his hands on the ground, raising his head as his body continued to tremble. I am a practitioner from the empire. Zion phoned coincidentally here for training. Lin and Sham Upon hearing this blared and sternly said, "You dare to come to the Empire Yai for training? Are you not afraid that the strong of Yaoi will kill you?" Mun hearing this opened his mouth wide and laughed, "Ha ha ha, if it is training then of course there will be dangers. If one is afraid, what is the point of training?" Just then a subordinate ran over, queued his hands, bowed his head and reported, 10 miles ahead there is a place called Divine Immortal Sect. Lin Tianzong heard this and immediately commanded, "Tie him up, and after we eliminate the Divine Immortal Sect, take him back to the royal capital." After finishing his words, Lin and Zong wrote on. Qi Lin accompanied by his subordinates and Mu Yun leaving the Shinal mountain range. A while later at the territory of the Divine Immortal Sect, Lin and Shong dropped Mu Yun from above, wanting him to be severely injured. He lay below, eyes half closed as he looked ahead, thinking to himself, "I originally thought that the Divine Immortal Sect daring to provoke the Marquis of Chanlin would be a large hidden sect, perhaps even helping me escape from this sea of suffering." He helplessly sweated as he looked at the hustle and bustle of the Divine Immortal Sect. Is this really all there is? Lin and Shong, with his body continuously releasing spiritual weapons, stared intently at the sect of the male lead. Then he raised his hand to signal his elite troops below, waving the spearheads towards the sect. The elite soldiers gripped their spearheads tightly in their hands, and then in unison they threw the spearheads towards Wang Feng's sect. At that moment, just as the spearheads were about to pierce into the sect, there was a sudden disturbance around them and the scene saw Great Demon leap up from the rooftop. He then landed back on the rooftop, looking ahead with fiery red eyes, his body continuously erupting with powerful strength. He summoned his treasure mace, gripping it tightly in his palm. The Sienna Great Demon slammed the treasure mace down, glaring at Lin Tianzong and his group, revealing his white teeth in a sinister grin. Then he swung the mace, unleashing a powerful spiritual weapon. The spiritual weapon gradually accumulated into a large area, forming a strong barrier that rendered the spears unable to penetrate. The Scene Sha Great Demon stood on the rooftop, single-handedly withstanding thousands of spears impaled on the barrier. The elite soldiers looked at the scene with their mouth agape, sweating profusely. What is that? It clearly looks like a snake, but possesses such abilities. Hearing these words, the Scene Sha Great Demon became furious and glared back. "Not only do you dare to attack my sect, but you also dare to say that my supreme self resembles a snake." The Sienna Great Demon, filled with rage, opened his mouth and let out a piercing roar, the oppressive power from his body sending the spears flying back towards Lin and Shong and his group. Immediately the spears shot back, piercing through the chests of the elite soldiers, sending them to meet their ancestors. Sienna Great Demon used his evil energy to conjure a long staff several hundred meters in length. He then bared his teeth in a sinister smile, and with a demonic face and eyes overflowing with malevolent aura, he struck a lethal blow towards the group of Lin and Zong. The elite troops, hit by Scene Sha Great Demon's attack, cried out in pain, their mouths wide open, stopping their. Scene Sha Great Demon turned around and delivered another blow to the remaining elite soldiers, sending them straight to the heavens. After dealing with the Tian Shan minion, the next strike was aimed directly at Lin and Shang's face. "Who are you to dare invade my Divine Immortal Sect?" Lin and Shan stared at the long staff about to hit him and shouted, "Si Sha Demon Staff, you were S Sha Great Demon, sealed by His Majesty." S Sha Great Demon stood in a cool pose, his eyes pale, smirking wickedly, and said, "I am your grandfather, so what?" Mu Yen looked up at Scene Sha Great Demon laughing maniacally on the rooftop and was stunned, thinking he is the Sienna Great Demon who tormented the Empire thousands of years ago. Lin and Sh blared at Scene Sha Great Demon, impressed. "How could you escape from the godforsaken land?" Scene Sha, upon hearing this question, opened his mouth wide and laughed mockingly. "Haha, the godforsaken land is so small, how could it possibly trap the supreme being?" Mu Yen's eyes widened in shock as he stared ahead, quietly thinking this demonic being was able to escape from the godforsaken land. Could it be due to Wang Feng of the Divine Immortal Sect? I never expected this small house to harbor a peerless expert in hiding. Lin and Shan clenched his fist, tilted his head and glared down below. "Wine Foam of the Divine Immortal Sect killed the son of the Marquis of Cholan. As long as you do not obstruct my revenge, I will consider that I have never met you today. How about that?" The Scene Sha Great Demon, upon hearing this, smiled widely from ear to ear, laughing and then took out his demon staff, presenting it before Lin and Shan, saying, "But we have to see if my Sienna demon staff agrees." Lin and Shan, having caught the gist of it, understood. If that's the case, then today This demon will kill demons even more. With that said, Lin Zong mounted his chin and charged toward the Sienna Great Demon at breakneck speed. Xin Sha the Great Demon raised his staff and said mockingly, "You think you can kill me just by talking?" As he finished speaking, Xin Sha swung his demon staff fiercely towards Lin Shong. At the moment of life and death the Qi Lin rushed. And that's right. But it's not based on my mouth, it's based on Qi Link mouth. Indeed, the demon Sta of Sienna was firmly caught in the mouth of Jilin. After catching it, Jilin tightly closed its mouth. Shortly after, Jilin spewed out a blazing fire, scorching the demon staff of Xin Sha. However, that alone was not enough to trouble Xin Sha. He infused a tremendous amount of demon energy into the long staff. His demon staff immediately began to grow larger, stretching Qin's mouth wide open as it stared with te eyes. Unable to breathe, Jilin had to open its mouth wide and spit out Xin Sha's demon death, then stuck out its tongue to pant like a dog. Seeing that Qi Lin was of no use, Lin Shan kicked its head hard, leaping up with the spiritual weapon exploding all over his body. He, with his hands covered in Qin's scales, was incredibly powerful, and he threw a punch directly at Xin Sha the Great Demon. Seeing this, Xin Sha quickly kicked his own long staff. His long staff surprisingly was aimed straight at the full force punch of Lin Zong. As the long staff collided with Lin Shan's body, the Jilin fire from earlier began to absorb into his body. In the blink of an eye, Lin Shan's body erupted in a blazing flame of immense power. He glanced at his scaled fist and laughed heartily. "Haha, thank you for using the Qin fire to assist me." After finishing his words, he unleashed a powerful punch towards the Xin Sha Great Demon. Seeing this scene, the Xin Sha Great Demon grit his teeth, his eyes filled with fierce determination. Quickly gathering his strength into his demon staff, then he unleashed a mighty strike, shattering the Qi Lin scales, covering Lin Zong into numerous pieces. The shock wave from the Xin Sha Great Demon attack forced Mun to roll away for several hundred meters. "Damn it, how can I get hit?" While lying still moments later, the Xin Sha Great Demon landed from the sky, his long staff thrusting forward. He stabbed his long staff directly into the chest of the naked Lin Shong. It seems the answer from the Xin Sha demon staff is no. Sienna narrowed his eyes and stared at Lin Tianzong, who flashed a faint smile with ketchup smeared all over his lips. "Marquis of Chonan, have you been struck dumb by the Sienna demon staff? You're on the verge of death and still able to smile." Old Tian Shan smirked, revealing a smug grin. "I smile because even though you have escaped the godforsaken land, your cultivation has fallen from the peak of the profound sovereign realm to the peak of the nobility realm." Upon hearing this, the Xin Sha Great Demon placed his hands on his hips and threw back his head with a loud laugh. "Haha, even if I use my cultivation at the peak of the nobility realm, it is still enough to beat someone in the mid-nobility realm like you." Suddenly the Jilin turned and spat out a burst of fire straight at Lin Shan, causing the Zen Sha Great Demon to sweat in surprise. "What are you doing? If you can't win, there's no need to self-immolate." After the Jilin fire integrated into old Tishan Shan's body, his form underwent a transformation. "Indeed, my mortal body has the cultivation of the mid-nobility realm, but my Qi Lin body is not just that. Now the body of Elder Tianzong is incredibly strong and tall, wrapped in layers of Jilin scales with flames raging fiercely." At this moment, the Xin Sha Great Demon sees the body of Elder Tishan Shong, his eyes bulging in shock and sweat dripping. Feeling a bit scared, he clenches his teeth, staring wide-eyed, and as he senses the aura emanating from Elder Tun Shong, he cannot help but be amazed. He is actually at the early stage of the profound sovereign realm. Elder Tun Zong kneels down, forcefully pushing his foot against the ground to gain momentum. Then with an expressionless face he glares and charges forward at an incredible speed. Seeing Elder Tishan Shan's speed makes the Xin Sha Great Demon grit his teeth and stare in astonishment. When Elder Tian Shong reaches in front of Xin Sha, he halts, bends his legs and says, "This time I won't stop until I crush your face." Elder Tian Shan stomps down with his chin legs, causing the ground to explode, leaving behind a tremendous shock wave. After a while, as the dust gradually clears, the stone slabs become visible. Elder Tishan Shan blares down and sees that his Ch Lin legs have been blocked by the Xin Sha Great Demon below, who has summoned demon energy to create a shield for protection. Although the Xin Sha Great Demon has narrowly avoided a fatal blow, sweat continues to pour down uncontrollably. Not only has the body and strength become much stronger, but the speed has also increased several times compared to before. The Tun Sham offspring who witnessed the scene raised their fists and cheered enthusiastically. No wonder it's the body movement Jilin of the Marquis. Even the Sin Sha Great Demon and that evil Sect staff can be easily suppressed. After a moment of resistance, the Sin Sha Great Demon suddenly turned around. He kicked his own staff hard. After the kick, the staff returned to its original state, but it grew larger and larger, sending Elder Tian Sheng flying. The long staff became so enormous that it could be clearly seen from this mountain. The Sin Sha Great Demon waved the long staff in front of Elder Tian Sheng, opened his mouth wide, broke into a triumphant smile and shouted, "Hey little thing, do you think you're the only one who can grow larger?" After saying that, he struck down with the staff towards Elder Tian Sheng, causing the ground to sink deep. The formidable pressure created a gust of wind, forcing the elite troops to struggle to hold on, or else they would be blown away. At the same time, the Sin Sha Great Demon could not withstand the tearing wind and raised his hand to brace himself. I thought old Tishan Zong had vanished, but no, he landed on a large stone. The Sin Sha Great Demon gritted his teeth in anger. Upon seeing this, old Ti Zong shot him a glare with a grim expression. Seeing this, the Sin Sha Great Demon immediately used all his strength to retreat, gritting his teeth, and thinking, I can't confront him directly, I can only create distance and look for openings. Old Tishan Shan bowed his head, his eyes tightly shut, tensing his hands. Suddenly a region of golden light flickered beneath his feet. The next second he shot towards the Sin Sha Great Demon with lightning speed, leaving a trail of dazzling golden light. When he reached the Sin Sha Great Demon, old Tian Sheng suddenly halted and glared at him in a moment's hesitation. Old Tian Zong slapped the Sin Sha Great Demon with such force that it felt as if his eyes were about to pop out. Enduring a devastating blow, the Sin Sha Great Demon gritted his teeth and struggled to withstand it, thinking, damn it, this can't be true. But a slap like that was nothing serious. Old Tun Shian continued to stomp down hard on the ground and leaped up, his fist already raised, moving smoothly. Every movement is a torment for the Sienna Great Demon with devastating blows. Damn it, the speed is unbelievable. After taking 749 blows, the Sin Sha Great Demon was sent crashing into the rock wall, splitting it in two. In pain, he opened his mouth wide and coughed up blood violently. This demon has not easily escaped from the godforsaken land, and now I have to die like this. Old Tian Shan walked up to the Sin Sha Great Demon, looking at him with bright golden eyes. He raised both hands, gripping the two mountain walls behind him. It's over this time, I've truly been hit like a snake. Old Tishan Sh applied no effort, tightly connecting the two mountain walls together, crushing the Sin Sha Great Demon within. After a moment, the shattered rocks slowly began to fall. Something caused old Tishan Shan to stare in astonishment. The Sin Sha Great Demon was not inside the crevice at all, and there was no sign of him. Where did he go? As soon as he finished speaking, the Sin Sha Great Demon shouted, no need to look anymore. He was sitting on top of old Tishan Shan, pointing at his own face. The Supreme One is still very much alive here. Hearing the voice, the old man Tishan Sho turned his head and glanced up. It seems that your divine immortal sect has some experts. It turned out that he was looking towards Igu Chang, who was firmly holding a treasured sword in his hand, standing confidently on the roof. Igu Chang, with an emotionless expression, glared down below. He raised his shining sharp sword and then forcefully sheathed. Immediately the spiritual weapon Horus dissipated. The Sin Sha Great Demon descended from the sky in a cool pull, with the evil energy around him also dissipated. At this moment Muan Fei hid behind a rock, glancing at Igu Chang, thinking to himself, one Sin Sha Great Demon is not enough, and now another powerful expert has come. What kind of divine sect is this? Divine immortal sect? Why have I never heard of this sect during my training in Empire Yari? Igu Chang looked at the Sienna Great Demon and said in a stern voice, the sect master is very pleased with your performance. You can go rest over there for now. All right, goodbye. However, before leaving, the Sin Sha Great Demon did not forget to point at old man Tian Zong and introduce him, saying this person claims to be the Marquis of Chonglin and said he wants to take the SE Master's life. Igu Chang was furious after hearing this, looking ahead with sharp eyes and drawing out his gleaming sword. It's too beautiful to still be dreaming. Iguang forcefully unshed his sword and immediately powerful sword chi surged forth towards the elite troops. Suddenly a tremendous force lifted the elite troops into the air. Muan Fei was no exception. Being suppressed by that force with just a single draw of the sword, the elite soldiers were controlled and lifted high into the sky. Old Tianzong had to struggle against the violent pressure of that force, unable to contain his impatience. Old Tianzong stomped hard on the ground, creating an explosion. He charged forward, swinging his fist towards Yi Guchang with an angry expression, his eyes wide and teeth clenched. Immediately Yi Guchang raised his sword, channeling energy to create magnetic beams. The elite troops of Tian Shiyan were drawn in by the magnetism, becoming firmly stuck to Yu Chang's sword. He floated in midair, firmly holding his sword aft. In using the skill immortal flying from heaven, the spiritual weapon radiated abundantly and fiercely before the old man. Tian Shong rushed in. Yi Guchang quickly unleashed a combined attack of sword and body towards him. Faced with this brutal assault, old Tianzong had no choice but to raise his hands to defend himself, taking advantage of Tian Shun's momentary daze from his move. Yi Guchang swiftly jumped from the rooftop behind him, sensing the incoming attack from behind by Yi Guchang. Old Tian Xon clasped his hands together, then he turned and swung his arms side to side, tearing apart the technique before charging straight at Yi Guchang with a cold sharp gaze. From a distance at another angle, a pillar of dazzling golden light descended from the sky, then a powerful spiritual weapon enveloped Yi Guchang's sword. Old Tianzong surged forward, throwing a lethal punch, but Yi Guchang was incredibly agile, smoothly dodging in an instant. Yi Guchang stared intently at the glowing light shining on his face without any emotion. Then Yi Guchang used spiritual energy to lift a large area of land into the air, leaving old Tian Shon wide-eyed in astonishment. Yi Guchang enveloped himself in a source of spiritual energy. After that he raised the sword high and controlled a large piece of land floating in midair. This caused the old Tian Shong and the Sienna Great Demon to fall freely. This was called the Earth Sword technique. The Great Demon instantly jumped onto the large piece of land to protect the shabby house of the Divine Immortal Sect, but accidentally discovered Mun Fei sliding down. He immediately encased Mun F in a surge of demon energy, thinking this person is captured by the enemy. He must be one of us. Yu Chang descended from afar and struck down with his sword. The large piece of land floating in midair immediately fell right above old Tian Shan's head, startling him. Just like that, the large piece of land crashed down, creating a shocking explosion that shattered into many fragments, while also crushing old Tian Shong underneath. After a while, old Tian Shong stomped hard on the ground, his eyes half closed, his body trembling as he struggled to crawl out from the rubble with his weakened physique. Before he could catch his breath, Yi Guchang appeared right in front of him, holding the sword pointed to the sky, with his body erupting with intense spiritual weapon energy surrounded by zigzagging lightning. Yi Guchang raised his sword in front of him, glaring down with an angry expression. A dazzling beam of light shone on Tian Shan's face, causing him to widen his eyes and open his mouth in fear. Yi Guchang unleashed a fierce strike towards Tian Shan, making him vanish, and the sword chi filled with overwhelming power and fierce lightning. After Yi Guchang's full force attack, the aftermath was terrifying. However, Yi Guchang was extremely brutal and continued to deliver another full-force blow, creating an explosion. Tian Shan's body was now tormented by painful lightning bolts. The dreadful aftermath of Yi Guchang's strike had caused everything around to shake, making the Xin Sha Great Demon and Mun Fei stagger as well. The Xin Sha Great Demon placed a hand on his hip and looked at Yu Chang, grinning with a confident smile. It's been a few days. Yi Elder has become stronger again. How is Yi Elder's strength? That the Divine Immortal Sect. After hearing this, the Xin Sha Great Demon bared his teeth and replied with a sinister smile, Yi Elder's strength. That the Divine Immortal Sect is considered the lowest. Mun Fei widened his eyes in shock upon hearing this, sweating profusely as he thought 3 swords were able to severely injure the Marquis of Qin in the early stage of the profound sovereign realm, yet his strength is the weakest. Luckily the Marquis of Choman brought me to the Divine Immortal Sect. Old Tian Shong stood firm amidst the attack, clenching his fist and raising it high with a heroic aura. He proudly shouted, Shonin army formed the Jilin formation. The elite soldiers hearing this immediately followed orders, raising their hands to gather spiritual energy. Then the elite soldiers sequentially touched each other's shoulders to merge their spiritual energy together. When the last person joined, the Qin stomped its foot against the tree and leaped straight over the heads of the elite soldiers. After that, the last soldier among the elite transferred the gathered spiritual energy into the alluring rear of the Jilin. Once the Jilin absorbed the spiritual energy, the elite soldiers behind were drained and burned to ashes. In this way the entire elite force of Old Tian Sh turned to smoke. The Jilin opened its mouth wide, gathering a fireball. Inside, once a large mass of fire was formed in its mouth. The Qin then spat that fire towards Ying. The fire zone flew through straight to where Elder Tian Shong was merging into his body. After absorbing the blazing flames of the Jilin, Elder Tian Shan's entire body glowed a fiery red, glaring with his big round eyes ahead, and swung his fist forward. Then Elder Tian Shong raised his head wide-eyed and opened his mouth to let out a loud shout, causing the flames to burn even brighter, dispersing the lightning bolts. Next came a full-force punch, explosively countering Yukin's strike. After the attack, Ying's powerful move gradually faded, leaving only the remnants of the lightning bolts. The Sienna Great Demon observed from a distance, gritting his teeth, a drop of sweat rolling down his cheek, secretly thinking the Marquis of Changlin borrowed the fire of the Jilin and the Changlin army, which can clearly elevate cultivation and power in an instant, his strong body constantly erupting with powerful blazing flames. Speaking of this, the Sienna Great Demon pulled out his long staff from the stream of evil energy. He then swung the long staff back for momentum, his gaze fixed directly on the Jilin below. To prevent future troubles, I will first eliminate this fire. Jilin Elder Tian Zong unleashed a full-force punch with an overwhelming oppressive power that was incredibly terrifying. With the pressure of the punch, it transformed into a giant hand aimed directly at Yukin. However, in the face of this full-force blow, Yukin remained remarkably calm and jumped high, forcefully embedding the sword in his hand into the fist he and his sword thrust into the blazing fire before him. The hilt of the Jing sword pierced through the area of flames. Unexpectedly, Old Tian Shone tightly grasped the hilt of Yukin's sword. When Old Tun Sh caught the hilt, he smugly mocked, "It's just a hilt. Do you think it can harm me?" In front of him was the hilt. That was true, but Old Tishan Shan could not defend himself. The sharp blade pierced him from behind through his chest, blood spraying everywhere. Old Tishan Shan clutched the sword that had pierced through his chest and struggled to say, "You finally fell for my torment." Hearing this, Yukin quickly pulled his sword out, but then discovered that Old Tianshi had firmly held on to his sword. Then Old Tishan Shian leaned on the sword and directed the blazing fire toward Yukin, causing him to stare in shock. In a moment of life and death, suddenly flowers made of frost appeared in the sky. Next, a stream of cold energy gathered to form a protective barrier around Yusing, something only you could do. Seeing the scene, Old Tian Shan couldn't help but be astonished. Before he could recover, Sherman Chu appeared. He was controlling cold energy to form a massive sword right in front of Old Tian Zong. Sherman Chu glared at Old Tian Zong, his expression as cold as ice. Sherman Chu raised his two fingertips, releasing the spiritual weapon from his body. The source of spiritual energy instantly transformed into a powerful sword chi in his hand. Then Sherman Chu SCHW sprang down hard onto the ice and soared upward. He advanced towards Old Tishan Shan with lightning speed and launched a direct attack that left the old man white-eyed in shock. With no other option, Old Tishan Shong slammed his foot against the ice and mustered all his strength to run forward in order to pull the sword that had pierced through his chest out. After a moment of effort, Old Tian Shong managed to free himself from the sword, blood pouring out violently, but it just happened to evade a fatal strike from Sherman Chu that was racing toward him. In the moment, Sherman Chu's sword chi had shot straight above the head of Tishan Zong, causing him to be startled as he raised both hands to block the sword chi while he was defending. The sword chi suddenly vanished, causing Tishan Sh's hands to clap together. He glanced back and saw Sherman Chu preparing to launch another strike at him and immediately released sharp Jilin scales. As expected, those sharp Jilin scales pierced Sherman Chu's body, causing him to feel pain and glance down. In the next moment, flames suddenly erupted from Sherman Chu's body, running along his entire form. Seeing this, Sherman Chu pondered with a grim expression, "This fire clinging to me is not causing any injury." At this time, Tian Sheng across from him bared his teeth, wearing a sinister smile. Sherman Chu couldn't help but feel suspicion and launched an attack toward Tian Zong. However, after the strike was unleashed, it quickly dissipated in an instant, making Sherman Chu suddenly realize, "This is bad, it's burning my profound chi." Catching a flaw in Sherman Chu's defense, Old Tishan Sheng stomped hard on the ground and leaped up, speeding toward Sherman Chw. With lightning speed, his slap was ready to strike. Sherman Chu Shui's face directly, but in that critical moment Yayu cast a skill using a massive block of ice to freeze Tishan Shan's legs in place. This stopped old Tianzong at the closest distance, preventing him from landing the strike on Sherman Shui. Missing his attack, Tishan Sh became enraged and used his strength to break free from Yao's ice. He then clenched his fists in front of his chest and charged at Yao with a face twisted in extreme anger and cruelty. As he got closer, Tishan Shan clenched his fist tightly and swung it forward, landing a powerful punch right in Yao's dantian, sending her flying. Bloodied scales fell from Tian Shan's body as Yao crashed to the ground, clutching her abdomen tightly. Her teeth gritted as she glared at Tianzong. At that moment Sherman Shui was weakened, consumed by the flames, but upon witnessing Yang's condition he mustered the strength to shout, "Don't let his scales hit you, they will transform into flames and devour your profound Shay immediately." As soon as the words were spoken, a scale fragment shot toward Yao. Seeing this, Yao immediately raised her hand to condense cold energy, creating a layer of ice when the scale fragments simultaneously rushed towards her. Thankfully Yao had been shielded by a layer of frost. Sherman Chu used all his remaining strength to draw his sword. With pitch black eyes he charged straight at old Tian Sheng, with the speed of the wind causing his long hair to flutter. The next moment was the collision between his sword and old Tianzong's scaled skin. After delivering this strike, Sherman Chu collapsed and kept gasping for breath on old Tishan Shun's arm. He looked up and stared intently at Sherman Chu, mocking, "Your profound Shay is depleted, so weakened that you can't even pierce through my arm." With labored breaths Sherman Chu forced himself to say, "You definitely can't avoid this sword strike." Upon hearing his words, old Tun Shan stared in shock. "What sword strike? Do you think you still have profound chi to wield a sword as soon?" As the sentence was finished, a sword design from white bones was raised. "I said it is not mine but that of Yen." Elder Yener-san had unexpectedly appeared from behind, wielding the sword with momentum. With a serious face mixed with a hint of anger he stared intently at the old Tianzong, filled with indignation. Immediately, without any hesitation, Yener-san flicked his hand, unleashing a blazing fire. The flame seemed to engulf the lower half of old Tian Shan's body, causing him to be caught off guard and startled. Receiving a devastating blow, old Tishan Shan's eyes whitened in shock. Now half of his lower body had turned into white bones, causing him immense pain as he screamed loudly. Not only had the lower half been completely crippled, but the remnants of the attack also brutally tore at the upper part of old Tishan Shan's body. He was in excruciating pain, his face drenched in sweat. When did a profound sovereign peak expert from the Yi Empire appear? Why have I never heard of it? Straining to think but unable to guess, old Tun Shan glared fiercely at Yen Sharon, gritting his teeth, and asked in a trembling voice, "Who the hell are you?" Yener-san pointed the sword directly at the face of the old Tian Shong, with a powerful spiritual weapon emanating from his entire body, boldly declaring, "Disciple of the divine immortal Sect Yen Shuran." At that moment a foot stepped onto the rooftop, looking towards Yen Sharon. In the old Tanong it turned out that Wang Fong Luing as well as Ling F. Wu and Lei had returned. Luing, with a surprised expression, thought to himself, "I've only secluded for a short while and already an elder as strong as this has awakened in the Se Lu." He glared ahead with a regretful look, thinking, "I wonder when in this life I will reach the profound sovereign realm peak again." Meanwhile, Ling F. Wu behind the male protagonist and Lei wore a dark and furious expression. With her eyes wide open she thought, "He is the Maki of Chonglin, the one responsible for the destruction of our Ling family." Sensing Ling F was anger, Wang Fong turned to her, placed his hand on her shoulder and said, "Don't rush, wait a moment and I'll let you take revenge yourself." The Scene Sha Great Demon sensed Wan Fong aura, glanced back and grinned smugly. "The Se Master is out again." He did not hesitate at all and turned back to extend his long staff towards Lan Shun Jilin. "I must quickly kill this beast to prevent the Sect Master from thinking I am useless." At that moment a hand filled with abundant spiritual energy was raised before the long staff could strike the Qin's head. Like hitting a snakehead fish, a beam of golden light wrapped around it and pulled it away in the blink of an eye. The Jilin had completely fallen into Lan Shun's hand. He glanced at the Jilin and said in a stern voice, "Correspondent, today to avenge my son I can only sacrifice you." Upon hearing this the Qin's eyes widened, and before it could react, Leon Xian used his large hand to pierce through the Qin's chest, causing it Immense pain as it let out a desperate roar immediately after a blazing fire erupted all over Lan Shan's body. His body gradually recovered from his hands and legs to his muscular frame in an instant. Lan Zhang donned a new interface, sturdier and more brutal, with spiritual weapons erupting violently all over 1FO. Seeing this scene from afar, felt powerless in thought. What the hell is this? Do you think you're Superman? Transforming back and forth like that if I were the one drawing this story? Readers would definitely say the author is prolonging the plot because the main character is too weak. Seeing the new appearance of the old man Titian Zong, Yan Shisun couldn't contain himself and immediately sent a sword strike towards him. However, Yan Shisun's sword chi was completely neutralized by the black flames relentlessly protecting old man Titian Zong. In a fit of rage, he turned around and shouted loudly, causing the flames of vengeance on his body to blaze even more fiercely. At this moment, my chi Lind Dharma body had fully formed. No matter how powerful your sword is, don't even think about harming my dragon scales. Hearing this, Yan Shisun glared forward with a darkened face and retorted, not necessarily, darling. With that, he threw his arm back forcefully, drawing his sword while channeling an immense amount of spiritual energy into it, making it shine brightly. Yan Shisun scraped the tip of the sword against the ground, creating shock waves. He then unleashed the swordsmanship 15 Death Sword, launching a full-force attack towards old man Titian Zong. The powerful sword chi was unleashed with great force, radiating a zone of light and dark that illuminated the face of the old Titian Zong. At that moment, old Titian Zong was struck by the overwhelming pressure of the sword shay against his face, pushing him backward. The scales on his body began to stir and gradually fell off. It was not just a piece of scale, but all the scales on his lower body fell away, leaving a red mass of flesh beneath. Witnessing the entire scene before him, Yun Face stood stunned for 5 seconds. Suddenly the system appeared next to Wang's phone, displaying the notification, "Congratulations host, a supreme demon has been detected." Receiving the notification from the system, Wang glanced over, eyes wide open in surprise. There is only one new face around. He is young but already has cultivation at the noble realm. It seems this supreme demon is him.